have any software, because what a client or agent is configured on that device, and it can operate without that particular software. For example, network traffic can be directed or copied to a sensor or scanned by an analysis machine. This control is completely passive. Hosts on the network would be unaware that it is operating. The control has no addressable interface. Alright, so here they're just talking about, I think we talked about this yesterday, an agent versus an agentless application. Agent
we talked about it.
Is something that permanently remains installed on the device, and agentless means it's something that's not going to be software that remains on that device. It's dissolvable. But they're talking here about active controls, and we require software in order for that device to authenticate to other devices. A passive device, meaning it doesn't require controls, and that device is able to still talk to and communicate to devices on the network. This active-passive term can be used in multiple ways, right? So here they're using it to define software. Active meaning we have software, and we need that to be utilized. I'm trying to think of an example here. What would be some active controls requiring host configure software agents? I'm thinking of a real-life example. Give me 1 second as I ramble my brain here. See if they have any examples in the book. Yeah, I'm reading the book here, 117. An active security control performs scanning, must be configured with credentials, username, password, and access permissions, and exchange data with target host. An active control that performs filtering requires host to be configured to use the control. It might mean installing software. I'm trying to think of. Of course, we know Cisco AnyConnect. That's an active security control. I have that software. I need that to connect. That software to connect to a device. But how can I connect to a device? I guess remote desktop. It's not really software, so to speak. It's built-in. It's a built-in tool, and I can use it to do the same thing. I'm trying to think of an example here. I'm doing this on the fly, gang. I'm going to read passive security control. Does not require any sort of client or agent. Yeah, remote desktop is not a client or agent. It's built in. This control is completely passive. Host on the network would be unaware that it is operating. Control has no addressable interface. I think that would be the best example. Network traffic would be directed and copied to its sensor and scan. Yeah, that makes no difference. I think that would be the best definition. For those who are not familiar with remote desktop, I hit the Windows key and I type in remote desktop. And this is an interface. It's not software. It's not an agent that I've installed because it's built into Windows. But essentially, this software will allow me to do the same thing VPN would allow me to do. Essentially, as long as I'm in the same network, I can type in the IP address or the name of my computer, and I can remote into that device. But again, I don't have any software installed on my computer to do that because this is the built-in tool. Versus VPN, right? That's an active control, right? And in order for me to connect to maybe a specific machine in my network, I need VPN software installed on my machine. Remote desktop, even though it's a passive tool, it won't work for me to connect to that specific device in my network. Right? So I think that's the best example. I may rethink this at a later point in time, but I'm going to type in VPN software and RDP. I mentioned 3389 as a port number. It's a question where RDP, which works for port 3389, if that port's open, it allows us to, from home, connect to machine. One of the questions in your homework talks about an attack that has occurred from a machine that's able to be accessed over the internet. They're saying, what can we do to prevent that machine from being accessed over the internet? And the answer is disable port 3389. Did you have that question last night? It's in the top. It's in the top 200. I know you'll see it. Either it was last night or you'll see it tonight. Yeah. But whatever you didn't get to last night, now you got more homework. Unless you, like I said, unless you're going to push the test date back. But nothing planned. Okay. So, inline versus tap monitor. So a tap or monitor comes to called a span, or sometimes they call it a mirror, port mirroring. Where's my notes here? I have a picture of this. We're in chapter 5, port mirroring. And they've definitely scrambled this book around now. Oh, what did I name it? Span, I think I named it in my notes. It's a picture. Alright, give me a second, gang. Now, why the heck is this? Alright, so why is it so slow? Would be my networking domain. So my networking domain was here. Security Plus. I know I have a picture of port mirroring.
No wonder.
Just looking for a picture real quick. That I'm just gonna go online and show you guys the picture. Interesting. I don't know why I don't have my picture of port mirroring here. Chapter 3 was networking too. I know it's something we talked about in 601. Port mirror span. See if I can find a picture. This is the one I use right here. I don't know where the hell it disappeared to. So in this picture, what we see, and this is what a span or port mirror is. Magnify real quick. We can see a admin is plugged into a device. This device is probably a switch. He's plugged his computer into port 1. These two PCs are plugged into the same device. He's plugged in port 8. He's plugged in port 4. What he's configured on the switch is to say any traffic that leaves port 4 and port 8, send a copy of that traffic over here, mirror a copy of that traffic over here to port 1. So he can essentially mirror as many ports as he wants. He could have all the interfaces being sent a copy over here. And this is something he could use to troubleshoot, or it could be something he could use to spy on the end user. Not really as administrator, but he could be spying to make sure you're not doing anything illegal in a company. But this is what port mirroring, or sometimes it's called spanning, is. And so that's what they talk about here in the book. Sure why Teams sometimes gets on my last nerves. All right, fail open, fail close. Fail open preserves access on a fail to prioritize availability. Fail close prevents on fail to prioritize confidentiality and integrity. There's sometimes reasons in which I would want a device to continue to work. Preserves access if a failure has occurred. Somebody went in to the database center and unplugged something from the switch. Now we have 200 other users plugged into this stack of switches. Do I want everybody to stop being able to access the network just because one thing could have failed?
No.
We'll just say like a port died, port 1 died on a switch, and there's 200 ports on a switch. Do I want all the ports to say, oh, sorry, we can't work because a port died? Or do I want it to continue to work? That's what a fail open is. Sometimes we want things, when they fail, we want stuff to stop working. We don't want nothing. Somebody's compromised my router. All traffic in my organization has to route through the router. Now somebody compromised the router, and the router is now redirecting our traffic instead of to just stop things from routing through the router. Not until I get on that router and fix it, nobody should be routing through that router. That's the difference between fail open and fail close. And there's use cases for it. And test it on. And switch.
So how is that? Yeah.
Just know the difference between fail open and fail. Or fail close. Other courses like to use different terms between similar things. Fail safe, fail secure. Sometimes what they use in other courses. Alright, we'll talk about this. Things like before time, we know what the ACL is. We know that the ACL is going to look at the packets of traffic from where it originated from. It came from Ricky's PC. Where's it going? It's going to the web server. Ricky's PC is allowed to go to the web server, but Sue's PC is not allowed to go to the web server. So we look at the IP address of the machine to determine where you came from and where you're going. We have protocols that can be used as well. TCP, UDP, ICMP is used for pinging. We have routing protocols. Routing allows us to route from one network to the next, and so on and so on. Yes. We have source destination ports, and we have, do you want to deny or drop, or do you want to accept or permit that traffic to go to, again, that server?
Meetings. I was just in a meeting. It's like he opened
now,
up a new
this
meeting
is
on
what
top
we're going to
of the
see
meeting.
in our sims
That's
we're looking at today. We're going to be looking at all of these columns, and we're going to be determining which columns to allow to permit, deny, what type of traffic is being sent to the network, and we're going to be looking at the IP addresses of the device it's originating from and the device it's being sent to. But again, ACLs read in order of succession from top to bottom. Last rule in every ACL is an implicit deny. Placement. It says inline placement. Inline means that it's the first thing my traffic must go through before it gets to a particular device in my network. So particularly, we're going to put kind of like the front door of my house. And anybody who comes in my house has to go through that front door. It's in line of all traffic. Anybody who comes in my network has to go through these devices. Intrusion prevention system, a firewall. It's my first line of defense. It's going to either allow you in the network or it's going to deny you access into the network. The difference between a firewall appliance and a router firewall. Firewall appliance versus router firewall. Let's see where they're going with this. Because we've already talked about a firewall. Where are we at? We are on page 118 in the book. Talk about inline appliance firewall. Where I looked at in a router firewall. Where's the router firewall? Second here.
The microphone was working, but then it opened up a double window, and that's why the microphone stopped.
Router firewall is in the bottom of 119.
It was there, a dual window.
I've already showed you guys an appliance firewall. That was the one that was $90,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right, standalone device. Now that was a next generation firewall, so that was more than just a firewall, but a standard firewall looks the same. It's hardware that we rack in a server rack somewhere. Mm-hmm. Router firewall, a firewall router appliance. Implements filtering functions as part of the router firmware. All right. The difference is that a router appliance is primarily designed for routing. All right. Yeah, I don't even know why they talk about that in the book. This is all right. I'm upset at CompTIA that they would try to distinguish a difference between a firewall and a router firewall. What they're saying here is that, yes, I can have a firewall, just like saying a PC firewall. I can have a firewall on my laptop. I can have a firewall on a router. I can have a firewall on a web server. I can have a firewall that's just a firewall, standalone appliance. So the main purpose of a standalone device is the only thing it's going to do is look at traffic and deny it. But a router firewall is going to look at all the traffic that's routing from my network to another network, and it's going to apply rules to say, based on the firewall, this traffic is allowed to be routed, this traffic is not allowed to be routed. But typically, you could have a router and a firewall, two different devices doing that. Right. Here they're saying there's one device, which is essentially what a next generation firewall could be doing, all in one security appliance.
Right.
So I'm not sure where they're going with this and where the question would arise, where one answer would be a router firewall and the other one answer would be a firewall appliance.
7 firewall now.
I'm thinking the main difference between the two they could ask us is if we need a device dedicated to blocking traffic, it would be firewall appliance versus a device that could be blocking traffic and routing traffic would be a router firewall. Right? The ones put this back on mute. Start again. All right. Yeah. You know the sound. All right. Here they're talking about different layers again. We know the transport layer, TCP, UDP traffic, and application. Several applications operate on the application layer. But this is what I want to talk about. It's stateful firewall. I know what it does. I'm just curious in how they worded it in the book. And then I'm going to break it down in layman's terms. So I'm on 120. A stateful inspection firewall tracks information about session established between two hosts. So that's my computer and your computer. When tracking information between the two. All firewalls now incorporate some level of stateful inspection. Session data is stored in a state table. When a packet arrives, the firewall checks to confirm whether it belongs. So it's going to say, hey, are you allowed in the club or you're not allowed in the club? If it does not, it applies minority and packet filter rules to determine whether to allow it. Once the connection has been allowed, the firewall usually allows traffic to pass unmonitored in order to conserve processing effort. Alright. So I guess they don't go into in depth about stateful. They talk about stateless firewall though too. I'm gonna tell you guys the difference between the two. Paragraph sentence above that. A stateless firewall can also introduce problems in traffic flow, especially when using some sort of load balancing and when limiting clients and servers need to use dynamic assigned ports. Because this type of a filter requires at least processing efforts, but it can be vulnerable to attacks spread over a sequence of packets. All right. Here's the difference between the two. And they don't have stateless versus stateful. A stateless firewall is considered static, where a stateful firewall is considered dynamic. Stateless firewall is only going to look at the rules that are in the firewall, and based on the rules in the firewall, that's what it's going to do. It'll allow this PC to deny this PC. Right? Go back to an analogy of the club. You have a list, and I tell you, follow the list. Whatever is on this list, you can allow people in the club. Whatever is not on this list, deny them. That's on the list, period. Doesn't matter how they come, how they're dressed. If their name's on the list, let them in. All right? That's stateless. Stateful is going back to the club analogy, is dynamic. That means you see my name on a list, but I come to the club and I'm dressed in a trench coat, I got a white mask on, I got gloves, and it's not Halloween. Stateful means you need to adapt. I look like I'm a threat. I look like I'm going to cause harm in the club. Even though my name's on a list, the boss has said if somebody comes in here looking suspicious, don't let them in. Yeah. So stateful is going to adapt. It's going to say, hey, there's a name on a list that I was allowing earlier, but somebody sat down at your PC and now they're sending malicious traffic. I have to adapt. I got to create something. I got to inspect this traffic. It's not safe any longer, so I'm going to block this PC.
Okay.
That's stateful.
Gotcha.
Most companies choose to use stateful inspection because we need to adapt to changes that occur.
Stateful.
A proxy server is the guy who sits in the middle. So my analogy for the guy who sits in the middle, I call him the middleman, not the man in the middle.
But the middleman.
The middleman. You ever worked with a middleman before? You want to buy something and you got to go through this guy, and he gets a cut. He talks to the other guy, right? And comes back, and you talk to the guy, and he's like, all right, well, I talked to so and so, and he said he could get it to you for $200. Really, it was $150, but he's making $50 off. The middleman. So what happened in that transmission of information? The middleman keeps you from talking to the original person. Or in a proxy environment, I want to talk to the web server, but I can't talk directly to the web server. I have to go to a proxy first. Then the proxy is going to deliver my information to the web server. So he's there to kind of keep the web server safe, because everything has to go through this guy first before it gets delivered to the final destination.
Okay.
Like Amazon proxy server, that's a broad statement. Amazon does have the ability to do proxies, but Amazon itself is not a proxy server. Oh, I see what you're saying. I never heard that analogy. I mean, I guess they are the middleman, right? I mean, they just store other people's products, right? Yeah. I've never or would use that analogy, but yes, if that makes sense to you, then that's legit. So let me show you a picture, because I need to draw out the difference between, as you can see, a forward proxy server and a reverse proxy server, and we need to talk about the difference between a non-transparent and transparent proxy server. Now, while I pull this up, you have a 50-50 chance. Which one's more secure, a non-transparent or a transparent? Oh, yeah. How do you know that? You knew that quick. Here's my picture. Again, you guys all have this in my notes. I'm gonna make my pen a little bit thicker, and I'm gonna turn this blue. So, as I mentioned, I don't want to give somebody direct access from their computer to the web server, because if I do that, they could do very bad things defacing the website. All right. Now, notice that in line of going to the web server, I have that firewall, which is what we just talked about. I want to place it in line of my traffic. I got to pass through that guy first before I can get to the web server. So instead of me giving them direct access to the web server, I send them to this device down here called a proxy server. Bam. All right. And the proxy server's job is to look at that traffic, see where it's destined for, and says, "Oh, you want to get some information from the web server? Let me get it for you." Hey, somebody's looking for this information. Sends it to the web server. Web server says, "Here's information." Sends it back to the proxy server. Proxy server says, "Here's information that you asked. I got it for you."
Okay.
Everything has to go through the proxy server, and then back through the proxy server before it gets back to the destination.
Yep.
Don't think about it like that.
Proxy,
Don't think about it like that.
Blocks everything out. What is?
Never had anybody ask me that either. Don't think of it as a proxy going to bypass the firewall. Just think about it as a proxy, as a device that I have to go through before I can get to a specific device in my network.
People from getting
so yeah, I could go like this, if that makes it better for you. But the purpose is I'm still going through the proxy server. Yeah. So the purpose is I'm just trying to focus on a proxy server here. But now we got two. We got transparent or non-transparent. A transparent is a Casper the Ghost would say, you can put your hand through me and it passes straight through. So if I'm sending a packet of data,
he's got a screenshot here called CISSP chapter 1 through 4.
Being sent from my computer
Robbins,
through a transparent proxy server. I'm not going to open up that envelope. I'm just going to pass it straight through to the web server. Well, he gets that envelope that has not been opened or inspected, and it could contain something malicious because we simply just pass it straight through. The only benefit of me passing it straight through is that it's fast, right? So if this guy is the CEO, and I know he ain't sending anything malicious, and he's connecting from home, and I want his experience to be fast, I'm going to allow him to access the network and send traffic via a transparent proxy server. Hitting undo now. But a non-transparent proxy server is going to do this. It's going to stop that traffic right there, and it's going to do this. It's going to filter that traffic. Right here, filter.
Yeah.
Filter means I'm going to open up an envelope and I'm going to inspect it. Are you sending something malicious in the network? For security purposes, a non-transparent is going to stop that traffic before it passes over. And it's slower because it's got to inspect stuff. Now, the direction of how this traffic flows is what's called a forwarding or reverse proxy server. So I'm going to keep it blue for a forwarding proxy server because that's typically what we use. So I'm going to start with that first.
Okay.
A forwarding proxy server starts from a server inside our network. goes through the proxy server, and ends up at a machine outside our network.
It's based on opposite direction.
So we're going
from the inside to
on
the
a
outside.
forward proxy. We're going from an internal, how would I say this? Internal to external.
Internal to external.
Network.
Good, Henry. Internal to external.
That's forwarding. Orange. A reverse is going this way.
External to internal.
From an external.
That's a test question. Reverse is going from external to internal. Forward is going from internal to external. It's the exact opposite
proxy
for the test. Gotcha.
External to internal
That's a test question.
Network. Again, I had these definitions written in my notes. Alright, so that's page 122. Reverse, forwarding, transparent, non-transparent. Oh, it takes us to 123. Appreciate it. So we got this device called an IDS system. Sticking with my picture here. At the end of this network,
IPS.
this is my, by the way, this is my series of controls. These are all the things that I must pass through before I'm given access to my private network. My private network is where my file server resides, where my virtual machines reside. That's where all my data resides. So this is some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about throughout the week. We already talked about the UTM, right, or the next generation firewall. That's my all-in-one security device. So instead of having 20 different devices, I can purchase one. But that one is a single point of failure. Right? We talked about the SIEM yesterday, right? The SIEM gives me events and alerts that aggregates all of my things in one central location. We talked about the honeypot. Remember, I said that's a pseudo-flaw, it's a decoy, it's a sweet spot in the network. All right, HoneyNet's a group of honeypots. Anyways, we're at the end of the network because we're talking about this thing called an intrusion detection system. This being out of band, this is not in band or in line of traffic, it's out of line of traffic. My best analogy of this is you got a camera. Do you put your camera outside your house, your front door, or do you put your camera inside your house so you can see what somebody's broken in and what they stole? Typically, we're going to place them out of band. Not to say we're going to have them inside and outside. Sure, you can have them on both. But the job of a camera is not to prevent somebody from breaking into your house. It's to detect when somebody's broken into your house. To go back and see who it was when you're at work who broke into your house.
Yes.
So this is why they say that the intrusion detection system is placed out of band. Right? Not in band or in line, out of band, out of line of traffic, because this job is just to detect. And one thing about detection is that we have to have our time. That's what NTP is, Network Time Protocol. Port number is 123. We need to have our time synchronized. If our time's not synchronized, the logs are going to be inaccurate.
Make sure it's net time protocol.
I can't hear anything you're saying if you're talking, by the way, but I think you're working, so that's okay. All right. Good. So that's what they're showing here on 124 at the job of an intrusion detection system, right? The opposite is true of an IPS. If you look at my picture here, and this on page 124 in your book, the IPSC is in band, in line of traffic. So it's literally one of the first things we have to pass through before we're giving access into the network. Intrusion prevention system, its job is to prevent attacks. Where the opposite is true of an intrusion detection system, its job is to detect. Here, we've already talked about, I'm just looking at my book here, not the PowerPoints, next generation UTM. We talked about that this morning. I even showed you a picture. Note that they have them on the same paragraph because they're the same device. You look up at NGFW, you look up at UTM, it's the same device. So these are synonyms. They're synonyms, right? They're all in one security appliances. Load balancer. Did we talk about a load balancer yesterday? No.
No, we didn't.
I'm going with the book, by the way, gang. Sometimes I'll get off PowerPoint and I'll just go straight to the book. Some courses I don't even use PowerPoint. But PowerPoint's just talking points. As you see, there's not much info on the PowerPoints. We're still having to reference our books, so I might as well just continue with the book. Here's my load balancer. In this picture, what we see is a server called a LB, load balancer, and we see two other servers. Here's file server 1, here's file server 2. What the load balancer's job is to do is it's going to look at the traffic coming into this device, and it's going to distribute that traffic evenly. You can see 50% of the traffic is going to file server 1, 50% goes to file server 2. So this is truly doing a 50-50 load balance, making sure that one server isn't getting all the traffic. This is what's called an active pathway. Remember I said that word active can be used in several different ways. Earlier, we were using active as having software installed, an agent installed on a machine in order for it to access the network. Here we're talking about an active pathway. This is a network link that allows me to send traffic actively to file server 1, and another network link that allows me to send traffic actively to file server 2. Or we can have what's called an active passive. You can see here, active passive. Active passive means 100% of the traffic is going to file server 1, and the dotted line means no traffic is going to passive. This is set up because sometimes if this active link were to fail, we have fault tolerance. It's going to fail over to the passive link. So he's there sitting as a backup link. We cannot load balance over active passive because essentially what's happening here, we only got one active link. So in order for you to load balance, you need two active links. Make sense? All right. Now, getting to ways in which we can perform load balancing. First one we're going to talk about is round robin. Think about a call center. You got 20 people sitting in this room. I want to make sure everybody in this room gets a phone call. So what happens, your phone rings first, your teammate next to you rings second, we go all around the room, and once everyone's got a phone call, we go back to you. All right? It's like middle school, all right? Everyone gets a turn. So that's what they're depicting in this picture. PC1 goes to server 1, PC2 goes to server 2, PC3 goes to server 3. Where's PC4 go?
Server 4.
Whose turn is it next?
You're running 1.
Server 1. All right, good. We also have something called affinity. I'll show you how it's written, how it's spelled. Affinity. See that? Affinity. Affinity is based on an IP address, how we perform load balancing. So going back over here, each of these PCs is given an IP address. 192.168.1.1. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
So the big enough and sharpen something out with me.
Oh, I gotcha. Gotcha. So each PC is given an IP address. PC1 is an IP address of 192.168.1.1. Server 1 says, based on affinity, I will service requests from any PC who has an IP address of 192.168.1 to 192.168.1.19. So where do you think PC4, based on affinity, is going to get its service request from?
29.
Server 3. You got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just reading the definition in the book. The definition of the book's good, but it doesn't explain like I explain it. So if I was just a typical instructor and read the definition, you probably would not understand what the hell affinity is. Guarantee it. But it says, if you read it now, it makes sense because I showed you what affinity is, right? It says here on page 126 when we read it together. Bottom. When a client device is established a session with a particular node or server, that's what I talked about here, it may be necessary to continue to use that connection for the duration of the entire session. Source IP or a session affinity is a layer 4 to handling user sessions. It means that when a client establishes a session, it becomes stuck to that node that first accepted the request. So it's not going anywhere else. PC4 is going to be stuck to server 3. PC4.
Why? Based on his IP address. He's the one that's going to accept the request from anybody has that range. All right, WAF. On the next page. A WAF, and you can see here my defense in depth.
Where's my defense in depth? I have a device here called a WAF, Web Application Firewall. These are all the different firewalls. We talked about the next gen. We talked about stateful, dynamically adapts. You're gonna not let me in because I'm dressed like I'm a Halloween character. And software versus hardware-based firewall. Hardware-based firewall is any physical device that can touch it. Software-based is this. I type in firewall, and that's software-based. It does the same thing, but I can't touch it. Application. Now what we're talking about here is a WAF. WAF stands for Web Application Firewall. Its sole purpose, I'll say its main purpose, maybe not its sole purpose, but its main purpose is to protect this guy here, the web server. We're going to look at a SIM today. That's why I'm trying to get through the material. So we can look at SIMs. We got 2 hours before it's 4. And we're going to see a diagram where we're going to be clicking and dragging our appliances to protect certain devices in our network. So if I had a WAF, I need to click and drag it to protect certain appliances. I'm going to place the WAF on the web server because that's what its job is to do, protect the web server. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 5C, remote access. So here's to talk about VPN. I'm teaching with the book right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the VPN, you can see an amazing picture of a VPN. This is a great picture. This is what I would use to teach about a VPN. The purpose of a VPN is it allows me to directly connect from a network that's remote, typically at home, to a private network that's at work. That's why it's called virtual private network. The reason why we use a VPN is because it creates this tunnel. You see that tunnel in that picture there? Anything that goes through that tunnel is encrypted. That's why it's called a secure encrypted tunnel. So if I'm using corporate data and I want to make sure that data is safe, I'm connecting to VPN first because if anybody intercepts information in that tunnel, it's going to be encrypted. So what we see at the bottom is what's called a client-to-site VPN. Client-to-site means you have a computer, you got software installed, Cisco AnyConnect, that's what you guys use, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the software client, and it's not always on because when you bring your computer home, you have to open up the software, type a username and password, and you got to click to connect. It's like AOL. Right? You remember AOL, dial-up? Okay, cool. I got kids in my house. How many kids in my house? I had a whole class. You're probably not going to believe me. It was about 15 students. Nobody knew what a modem was. Yeah, in the whole class. Never heard of it, never seen one, never nothing.
Wow.
But look, you got to think about it. We're getting older and older, bro. My son doesn't know what a modem is.
Yeah, that's true.
So, as that school's getting worse and worse, it's just, we're getting old, man. Yeah.
We're getting older.
Yeah, in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
But see, my son was born in 2012. Yeah, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Mothers were long
gone
gone.
by then.
He was born with a tablet,
Yeah.
iPad in his hand. That's how he came out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's different, man.
Yep.
On the next page, 130, that's what's called a site-to-site VPN. Notice here that we have branch office 1
Page
and
130.
head office, which is the number 2. We have 2 locations that have a permanent direct connection to each other. So the moment you log into your work at the VA office, you might click on a folder, and that folder actually exists on a server that's at a totally different location. But you never know that because you don't know that somebody created this site-to-site VPN connection on the back end. So
Wow.
we don't get
Site-to-site
into
VPN.
how that is configured.
Wow.
That's something
Remember
you
that page
definitely,
130 of chapter 5.
in a networking realm job, you would be doing. That's something you would do probably as a, not a daily task, but you would definitely do it. Have exposure to it.
Okay.
So, key point here, we have 2 different types of VPNs.
Okay. So
We
two
have one
types.
that's called a client-to-site VPN. Just
Client-to-site.
catching up on my
What they
notes
say
here.
Let me see what they
Or
say
not my
there.
notes, my PowerPoint.
Okay, I see transport security.
So you can actually
Network.
see. The picture is here is the same picture in the book, so it's not like we're missing anything.
Transport and a
This is a
tunnel,
client-to-site VPN,
Client to
and
site.
then this picture was a site-to-site VPN. The
Or
difference is a
site-to-site.
client-to-site VPN is not always on.
Client to
Still
site
sending
is
data
not
over
always
an
on.
encrypted tunnel. A
Or
site-to-site
turn it
VPN is always on.
Doing site to site's always.
We
on.
don't have to click a button to say connect. it mentions the word site-to-site VPN at the top of 130, but as you can see, it's not in my PowerPoint. It is in my notes though. Control F, site. Let me erase my mirror. I don't know where my mirror went. I gotta find out where the heck the mirror went. Site-to-site VPN. So in my notes here, I have a client VPN, and I have a site-to-site VPN. The key here is it's always on, right? And the site client VPN is not always on, right? So it is in my notes. Those are the two types of VPNs. All right, at the bottom, 130. Going back to my PowerPoint here. If you like PowerPoints, you got it, but I like the book right now. We have something called a point-to-point tunnel protocol. Several VPN protocols have been used over the years. We don't use this one anymore. Why are they mentioning it? I tell you why. Given a question on an exam that says which of the following should you not use, that's why they mention weak. We should not use MD5, it's weak. We should not use HTTP, it's weak.
Don't use
Right?
MT5.
We should
don't
not
use
use
HTTP.
point-to-point tunnel protocol, it's weak. We should not use NTLM. We talked about today, it's weak. Why? They've been deprecated because they do not offer adequate security. So what are we using now? TLS. TLS is what we use to replace it.
Security.
What do we use to replace NTLM? Kerberos. What do we use to replace HTTP? HTTP S.
Secure.
So there's all these security protocols, and that's what we're in this class for, to know what not to use and what to use because it's newer. It's secure. There's no vulnerabilities yet until somebody finds out a way to hack into it. Then we're going to be talking about security plus 801. It's going to be something different.
Never stops.
Who knows? On the next page, 132, and this is in my notes. As you can see in my notes, my notes talk about transport and a tunnel mode. That's what we're talking about here, transport mode and tunnel mode. You can see that on page 132. All right. I'm going to talk about it, and it's here in my notes. So if you want to read my notes as I talk, it's there. When we're sending data across a tunnel, TLS is the good way to secure data, but they also came up with a new protocol called IPsec. You see, TLS is applied at the application level, and IPsec is applied at the network layer. So IPsec is the de facto protocol we use when traffic is going across that VPN tunnel to encrypt the data. Now, we got two types of tunnels, though. Which tunnel do we use? Do we use a transport tunnel or do we use a tunnel mode? Transport mode or tunnel mode? Now, here's my analogy of the two. Now, for the exam, this is all we need to know. Transport mode is less secure, but it's fast. Tunnel mode is more secure, and it provides confidentiality. For the exam, that's what we need to know. Now, understanding the concept. Transport mode uses something called authentication header. Authentication header does not provide confidentiality. So essentially, it's like me driving a military truck inside a base, transporting something inside the base, but the back of that military truck, talk about a truck, the bed's not covered. It's open. I'm transporting something inside the base, but there's no confidentiality because the payload is open. You can see what's inside the payload, right? The authentication header is that. Doesn't provide confidentiality. Typically, it's going to be used with transport mode. Tunnel mode, on the opposite hand, same truck's coming into the base. This time, the payload is covered. That's why it's called ESP, Encapsulated Security Payload. Encapsulates my payload. It's covered. You can't see what's inside the back of the truck. Provides confidentiality. Now, of course, I'm not going to be able to transport that inside the base as fast because now the people at the gate got to say, hey, hold on.
Remember this?
I need you to open up the back of that truck. I need to see what's inside.
There's notes on
Speaking of that,
11.
I had a guy, he was overzealous of doing his job in Alaska. Never had this happen. All the times I've been on base since 2019. I was driving a minivan in the base, and I took my seatbelt off because my pass to get in the base was way up on the dashboard. I couldn't reach it. It's a freaking huge minivan. I took my seatbelt off and got my pass, I got my ID, I gave it to the guy, just like I always do. he said, I need you to roll your back windows down. I said, okay. So I rolled the back window down, right? It wasn't, I guess the sun wasn't up, but the windows were just stock tint. It's a rental. So I rolled the windows down, and then he looked in, he's like, all right. And then I got ready to go, and I was moving, and as I'm putting my seatbelt on, he said, nope, you can't go until you put your seatbelt on. So, like, this guy was, like, having a...
What time was it? Was it late?
And I was early. It was early in the morning. Like, they wanted to start at 8 o'clock, so I was there, like, probably 7:30. So...
Like you was just trying to burn time.
I don't know. I mean, there was nobody behind me, but to me, it sounded like he was having a control freak episode. Like if it wasn't the military base, I would have showed him a different side of me. But I know I got to get on the base and teach.
He would have been.
Yeah, he would have been like, get out the car, sir. You know. Yeah.
Call a supervisor.
I know.
Like 20 minutes.
I know. So that's why I was like, that's why I just kept my mouth shut. Right. But I did look up because I was curious. I was like, why did he require me to put my seatbelt on? And I did not know this, but that's a requirement of all the people when they check you at the gate. They have to make sure before you're on the base that you have a seatbelt on.
That's right.
I didn't know that. I always have my seatbelt on. I only took it off that day because the van was so huge I couldn't reach. And then I was going to put it back on. I have no problem wearing my seatbelt. I don't want to die, so I'm going to put my seatbelt on. But, so that's what really upset me. Not to roll the window part down. It's like, stop and put your seatbelt on. It's like, dude, you're Army. You're not the police, right? But now I realize that, so I will, just to mitigate problems, I'm putting my seatbelt on. Anyways, on the tangent there. So that's what tunnel mode is. It's going to stop. It's going to make sure you're secure before they let you into the network. All right.
Okay.
Ike, on the next page, Internet Key Exchange.
Yeah.
There's 2 modes of operation. Talked about that. Here we're talking about Ike. I call it Ike because it's I-K-E, Ike. So that's the shorthand for it. We got a whole picture on Ike now. Typically, I kind of gloss over this. So it's a protocol. It's a protocol that's used for us to create these keys, right? We talked about these public-private keys yesterday. So I'm reading from the book 133. Internet Key Exchange, as you can see, is for keys. Each host or router that uses IPsec must be assigned a policy. IPsec policy sets the authentication mechanisms and also the use of authentication header, encapsulated security payload, and transport or tunnel mode. IPsec's encryption and hashing functions depend on a shared secret. So we talked about a shared secret, that's symmetric encryption yesterday. The secret must be communicated to both peers, and the peers must perform mutual authentication. So what's saying here is that you have a password, I have a password. We both have to know the password, but have to communicate the password to one another before we can begin talking to one another. If you don't know it and I don't know it, we can't talk to each other. So that's what they're talking about with mutual authentication. Once we both prove that we know the password or that we both work for the organization, we can authenticate to one another. Ike protocol implements authentication method. Selects which cryptographic ciphers are mutually supported by both peers. We talked about cryptography yesterday. Are you using AES? Can I use AES? If we're both using AES, then that's a cipher we can mutually support between each other. And then we can perform key exchange using that particular cipher, right? Or that algorithm, whether it's symmetric algorithm or asymmetric algorithm. Set of properties referred to as security associations, SAs. So we just talked about the set of properties, things that we just talked about, that is called security associations, where we had to determine what encryption can you use, what encryption can I use. If we can determine it, we can both use the same encryption, then we're going to perform this thing called security associations and communicate to one another, mutually authenticate. Okay, so they have some steps there, but I kind of talked about the steps that occur during that mutual authentication. RDP. So big thing to know about RDP. I don't know if they have it in the book.
know that it works on port 3389. I already opened up RDP. I show you RDP is built in. It allows me to physically connect to another machine in my network. They don't have 3389 in the book, so add that. Right? Add that to your memory. 3389. As long as you do the homework, you're going to see that show up in the homework, and I have a long explanation on the port number and why in the scenario that we want to block that port to mitigate against somebody remoting into that desktop. So we only want people who are authorized to use RDP. We definitely don't want hackers at home RDPing into my network. That would be a bad thing. GUI means that you can actually see the desktop. Graphical user interface is what GUI stands for. Versus this, and I know Henry knows about this, but versus this, imagine you're using Windows, and this is what you had to interact with. This is command line interface, CLI. Now, were you young enough using computers when you had to use computers like this? Okay, I see. I don't know how old are you?
37.
Oh, okay. You're not young. You're younger than I am.
Yeah.
But I was using computers at a very young age because my dad worked at IBM. So he was bringing home all the computers that, most people at that time couldn't afford in their house. So I learned how to use DOS command as a kid. To play video games, I had to go into DOS and find an exe file. There's no icon I can click on my desktop, essentially. So you still can do it to this day, but most people don't even know about it.
Right.
Because most people interact with this graphical
Cool.
user interface.
Cool.
HTML5. Do you remember when Adobe Flash kept popping up on your computer saying it's going to end of life? End of life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember or recall? It was like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It depends on what browser
It was on
you were using.
Yeah.
No? Okay. But yeah, Adobe Flash is not used any longer because it got end of life. There was vulnerabilities in it, and they replaced Adobe Flash with a protocol called HTML5, which essentially does the same thing Flash did. Right? It allows us to access desktops and web applications from the internet via this application, which is more secure. HTML5 is clientless, meaning it's built into web browsers. Adobe Flash, Adobe, like Acrobat, Adobe Reader, that's not clientless. As a client, you got to download it to your computer. So HTML5, you don't have to download it to your computer, and it does essentially the same thing. What Flash did was it allowed you to, when you load a page, there's things that had like movements on the page, little GIFs or things that would move. That's what Flash allowed those things to operate on web pages. Most websites used Flash for that. I wonder if there's oh, goodness gracious. Yeah. Adobe Flash examples. I wonder what they have here. Images. Yeah. It probably would be more of a video. But these are like an hour long videos. Yeah, graphic effects, streaming video. So yeah, I would say MySpace definitely had that. That was what was popular in MySpace, and the MP3s that would play in the background, right? Yeah. I didn't have a MySpace page, but I know people would spend hours setting up their page, right?
I did.
It was. Yeah, I've been to a couple of them now that they don't even work. They don't even load anymore. But it's still around. SSH. So remember, I talked about some protocols we do not want to use as far as they're not secure
Okay.
when it comes to using the protocol because information passes in clear text.
Protocols you don't want to use.
The
Remember for the test.
unsecure version of SSH is called Telnet.
Telnet. That's what I
Telnet
use
is
for my IP routers.
what we don't want to use. So I'm opening up an application called PuTTY. And PuTTY, beyond the scope of this course, is a tool you'd use as a network engineer to type in the IP address of a router or switch. So if I wanted to create a VLAN and I wanted to maybe create port security and block you from accessing the network, I got to log into the switch to configure it.
Right.
So PuTTY is a tool that I can use to log into it.
Right.
But look what PuTTY opened up in as automatic SSH. So
Yeah.
my connection to that system will be encrypted.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's going to be able to read my username and password when I connect to that switch or
Right.
router to
Right.
manage it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So this is the management protocol. It's just used to manage devices. Telnet is also a management protocol, but look
That
at the port
sounds
number, 23. Telnet is what they used to use, but Telnet is unsecured because your username and password, that mess would pass over the network in clear text, plain text. People can read it.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to use a secure protocol. SSH is the replacement. All right, add a ban and jump servers, these are the same thing. SAW is a new term, I want to say, for Security Plus 601. They mentioned some SSH commands here on 136. It's not important that we know that. I kind of showed you how you could remote into and manage the device in PuTTY. And I said you could type in an IP address. So you could do the same thing via command prompt. Remember I said you can do everything command prompt. So here it is doing SSH, and Bobby is a username, and 10.1.0.10, that's the IP address that you're logging into. And you can add a password in there and everything else. All right, that's on page 136. SAW. The secure administrative workstations is used as a management clients must be tightly locked down. Ideally installed with only the software required to access the administrative channel, minimum web browser, RDP, SSH requirements. For instance, SAW should be denied internet access to or be restricted to a handful of approved vendors for patches, drivers, and support. These devices must also be subject to stringent access controls, auditing, so any misuse is detected at the earliest opportunity. Right? So SAW is not really a term. They just talk about making sure we secure admin workstations. That's not a term definition, but out of band and jump servers is a term definition. So I'm not sure why they made that an acronym.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I talk about when CompTIA legitly makes up acronyms. That's a legit made up acronym. It's not something that we would use in the workplace every day. SAW. We're just saying that you secure that machine. I need that stretch. All right, so what is out-of-band management?
Mm-hmm.
Out-of-band management means that I have to physically go to that machine to access it. That's what out-of-band management is versus in-band management, which means I can do it remotely. Simple as that. So when we do it out-of-band, when I first open a switch from a box, I have to plug into a port called the console port. You see this?
Yep.
Console port.
Mm-hmm.
I can plug into a serial port, or I can do it via modem, or I can do it via telnet line. That's what VTY, virtual terminal, is.
Yes, sir.
We don't need to know all this because it's not a network course, but CCNA, we actually do
All that.
configure each and every one of those interfaces when you log in. So I just want to show you what it looks like so you can understand the concept rather than in theory. So we use this we use this cable called a console cable. This is a console cable,
Yeah,
rollover
I know.
console cable.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see they have different ends. This one has an Ethernet and USB.
Got both of them.
This one has a Ethernet and serial.
Serial.
This is older.
Yep.
We don't really have serial ports anymore. Think of serial ports are like what you had on your old gaming desktop when you hook up a video controller.
Yep.
And it was a big fat cable at the end.
Oh yeah.
So most machines, even this one right here, my laptop doesn't have a serial. These desktops are old. They got serial ports on the back.
Yeah, that was a deal.
So anyways, you take this cable, and I take the switch out the box, and I connect it to a
The
switch,
console section, the router.
which looks something like this. I'm going to show you a cartoon image. You take your laptop, you plug the serial cable to the back of the laptop. Like I said, laptops don't have it anymore. And you take the RJ45 and you plug it back into the port on the switch
That's my router.
called a console port. It's actually labeled console port. Here's a big adapter. You can see this is converting it from a serial to a USB because most things have that now.
Yep.
So a lot of network guys will carry both serial and USB because you don't know what device you can use to connect to the switch. Then you open up PuTTY, and then you could use PuTTY to remote into this device and configure it. First thing you configure is with an IP address so that you can leave the site, you can go home, and then you can remote into the device from home with an IP address. So does that make sense, the concept?
Oh, yeah.
So how to do it, we don't care about for Security Plus. The concept is what's important. So sometimes the IP address might change or the network might go down. So what does a network engineer have to do? They have to perform out of band. They got to drive all the way to the site, and then they got to find a switch, and they got to take their laptop and plug it back into the switch to see what happened. Why aren't you working? How come I can't connect to you from home? So that's what out of band management is.
Out of band. Gotcha.
I mean, something could have changed. Who knows what could have happened in the network, but I can't access it over the network. So out of band means I have to physically go there. Jump servers is a server that, like a proxy device, it sits in the middle of the server I'm trying to get to. So I can't get directly to your desktop. I got to go to the jump server first, and then from the jump server, then I can open up a remote desktop and jump to your device. So jump server just sits in the middle of the device we're trying to get to. And everyone who wants to get to devices in the network, they all have to go to the jump server first. The jump server basically is going to say, you're allowed to go to this device, or you're not allowed to go to this device.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's the gatekeeper. All right. It's chapter 5. We're going to move directly into chapter 6. We kind of just came back from lunch. Chapter 6 talks about cloud. So we have different cloud models, and all this stuff is written in your your notes. Just do Control F, and you can look up public cloud, private cloud. It's in the notes. Might not be in the same chapter, but it's in the notes.
Yep.
We talked about this one. No, we didn't talk. We talked about this one this morning. I'm sorry. Community cloud. A public cloud is where ATG resides, right? No. Yes, I changed it. If you want, you can go download my bootcamp file again, just the VCE, and it's already changed in the VCE. If you want to, it's just one question. But yes, on the exam, you're gonna make sure you use the answer. The correct answer is community, right, not public. Right. So ATG is the public cloud. This is multi-tenant. That means in the cloud that we decided to move to, Microsoft gave us a host machine. It's a big supercomputer. It's a server, kind of like that quantum computer we looked at yesterday. It's a supercomputer. Now, do you really think that Microsoft says you're going to be the only tenant on that computer? Think about the word tenant. Tenant means that you move into an apartment complex and you're the only one there. Hell no, right? The apartment's not making no money.
No.
The apartment says, no, you're one of multiple tenants, all right? So, yes, on that host machine, I'm one of multiple people on that host machine, ATG and several other businesses. And it's cheaper, but it might not be something that a company that has top secret information would think that they would want to be a part of, right? So some companies would choose to go private route. Give me a server, but I'm going to be the only person on that machine. Let me move into an apartment complex, and you see celebrities will do this. They run out the entire floor, right? So there's nobody, and some celebrities will buy a whole neighborhood. We got the money to do so. They don't want that risk. Community, we talked about that this morning, so I'm not going to delve into it again. And hybrid cloud means you have a mix of each of these cloud models. Maybe some of your data is in the public, maybe some of it's in community, maybe a third of it's in community cloud.
Okay, deployments,
we have security considerations, which the main consideration here is
virtualization.
Which
VMM,
model do I deem for my organization is going to be the most secure?
VM sprawl.
Now, if I have top secret information, I want to be the only tenant in that
serviceless,
environment.
And those are the
But
terms
it's
you
going to
need
be
to
super
meditate
expensive to have
for day 2.
a
Let's
single
highlight
tenant
them.
architecture. Meaning I have a host machine, I'm the only one on there. Multi-tenant, that's what ATG did.
Make sure you study these terms for the practice
And
test.
some people are going to say, hey, some of the information can be on a multi-tenant, and this information needs to be on a single tenant. So we can have a cheap environment and we can have an expensive environment, but at least we don't have to spend the cost of having all of our data in the expensive environment. Then we get serverless architecture. I'm reading the definition of the book. It's when the cloud provider manages the infrastructure. Automatically scales resources up and down based on demand. All right, so serverless architecture is not really that we don't have any hardware, it's just that we don't have any hardware on-prem any longer. All our hardware is going to be in the cloud. All right? So when you think about serverless architecture, what really comes to mind, and they're probably alluding to here, is something called a virtual machine. You heard of virtual machine before? Okay. You got virtual machines in your environment?
No, I did.
No? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
so
got
you're strong in this one.
We got them.
All right. Here we got different service models: software, platform, infrastructure, service. We had a question about this morning, and I'm not sure if we totally understand it. So I'm going to segue here.
Virtual machine.
I'm going to show you guys a picture. It's not in the book. It's this. It's in your notes. So this picture is showing us the three models that they're talking about in the book. We have on-prem, and it says blue, you manage it. So I have an application, data, runtime, middleware. This is patching, update, installation of an operating system. I am responsible for. I need virtualization servers. I'm responsible. I need a storage and networking guy. I'm responsible. So I got to hire about 3 or 4 people to support all that. About $300,000 plus benefits for these people.
That's
Infrastructure
right.
service says,
Damn
hey,
right.
it's half and half.
Damn right.
I keep the applications data guy. I keep the help desk, but I'm getting rid of my engineers because that stuff's going to be managed in the cloud. So I save some money here, but look, infrastructure says I still have to install the operating system. That's the question from this morning.
Yep.
The question this morning says, which of the following models gives me the ability to install the operating system?
It's all about saving money.
That's
Learn
infrastructure
that.
as a service. Now look what platform as a service does. I don't have the ability to install the operating system.
Right now,
That's
the
on
reason
Microsoft.
why
That's on
companies don't want
AWS.
to pay us
The only
engineers
thing they
to keep
give me the
motherfucking
ability to do
training
is
so we
install
give a job.
applications and data.
Eventually, they're going to go back to
But
on-premises.
the OS is already there. Patching and updating, they do it all. I just maintain the application. So if there's an SQL database, I'm maintaining the SQL database. Software as a service means that I have 0 responsibilities. This is where ATG is at. ATG was here when I got here. ATG is here. No responsibilities. Because what was happening,
That's my
what happens a lot in a lot of networks is
Test the question.
some people that are responsible for things, they don't know how to fix things. So when they break, now things are down for longer than it needs to be. So this picture here in the book is showing what I just showed you, right? Responsibilities. On-prem, you can see that. Infrastructure, platform, software. Right? Same picture.
I see it.
If you wanted to have the control of it,
I would say half and half.
Police
What they're saying
station.
here. Half of it's my responsibility, half
Question.
of it's their responsibility.
The
Half and half.
choices
Half and half.
were IAS, PAS,
In the book,
SAS.
is this something that you should sit here and memorize?
Correct answer.
I would say no. That would be a little bit too detailed. We saw a question, and that question is how it's going to be worded on the exam. The question we saw today in Cahoots is how that question will be worded. And
Gotcha.
infrastructure as a service, looking here, just looking at their picture. Application, so it doesn't even show operating system here. The question was, who would be responsible for installing the operating system? You see this? It doesn't show in this picture who's responsible. So this is why I teach the way I teach, because sometimes you're not going to be able to distinguish from the book how they're going to be asking these questions.
Yeah, it looks like in that case, PAS establishes operating, handles that. The
Keep up with
virtual
the
cloud does operating
I'm not
system.
missing anything.
SCS, the virtual
Infrastructure,
the cloud
platform,
does
software
OS.
as a service. We
But in
talked
IS
about,
and on-prem, we do the
as
OS.
I mentioned, software as a service
This
is
is a
going to
good
be
question. This is good. This is a
who
good
has
slide,
the
man.
most responsibility. It's going to be the cloud vendor. Half and half is going to be infrastructure, and all responsibility is going to be on-prem. All right. So that is
Gotcha.
page 146.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's still page 146. It's
Yep.
still part of way page 146. All right, 147, centralized, decentralized computing. We talked about this word already. This is what we
147.
want. We want centralized.
Page
I want to be able
147.
to go to one single place and manage my entire network. The term decentralized means I got to go to multiple different places to manage my network, and that's hard. That makes my work 10 times harder. Some examples of decentralized computing. We talked about this yesterday. Blockchaining. Blockchaining is decentralized. That's the whole purpose of blockchaining. Right? And I didn't get into all the political reasons of why we've gone, not why we've gone, but why cryptocurrency exists. But there are reasons why cryptocurrency exists, because we don't want to be forced to put our money in a bank. Everyone, I'd say, in a classroom has their money in a bank. And you think your money's safe in a bank when it really isn't. Right? Somebody else has your money. Even though it's not in your wallet, it's in a bank, but somebody else is having your money and somebody else is doing what they want to do with your money. Now, if you don't know about that, look it up, right? But blockchaining is a way to say that I don't want somebody else to be able to tell me what I can and can't do with my money. And that's where blockchaining came up. Blockchaining says you can put it in a bank of your own that you own, and you can decide when you want to spend the money, when you want to transfer money, when you want to withdraw $10,000. You don't have to ask anybody's permission. Right? But some of these other examples here, peer-to-peer networks, this is computer-to-computer sharing, decentralized, meaning that all the data doesn't reside on one machine, but the data resides on multiple users' machines. Think about, you use Napster. What about, you use any torrents, like BitTorrent or Booz or anything?
Yeah.
Shit, downloading a lot of computer things.
Okay.
I haven't been years since I've
No, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I
Looking for.
I don't know if you would really know peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer is not as popular as it used to be. This was something popular in
2000s.
early to late 90s, right? Because that's when people first were able to start connecting their computers to one another and sharing files between. That's all right. It's all right. But yeah, that peer-to-peer is definitely not something we do any longer. Now most things are centralized. So you game now, and obviously you connect to Microsoft's Xbox game servers, and that's where you get your games from. But imagine a world before Xbox, and imagine LimeWire. You use LimeWire? Okay, LimeWire is peer-to-peer.
Yep.
You go there to download the MP3, right? Song that you want to listen to. Yeah. CDNs. CDNs are what Netflix uses. Content delivery networks. So what we have the content delivery network is, instead of when I log into Netflix and I connect to a server to stream movies that exist in China, which just makes no sense because I'm here in Atlanta, I'm going to connect to a place that's going to deliver that information that's closer to my geographical location. Because what does it do? I connect to a server here in Atlanta, that data is going to be streamed faster, obviously, right? Versus me streaming it from China or Japan. Because further away it is, the longer it takes for the data to get there and travel back, and that's going to cause latency. So that's what it says in the book. Improves performance, reliability, scalability. That's what a CDN is. This was a whole chapter in the book. I don't want to say a whole chapter, but it was like a good section in the book.
CDN.
So it's an important
I'm
concept.
gonna learn
We
that.
shouldn't just
Content
skip over
delivery
CDN.
networks. Okay.
The CDN's job, and you're going to see it in your questions tonight, its job is to decrease latency and increase performance of whatever services, content, that's what content is, whatever services I'm trying to get delivered to me over the network.
Content.
That's why Netflix has several CDNs, and typically CDNs are going to be in everyone's geographical location. You got probably one in the east region, you got one in central, you got one on the west coast, you got one northeast, you got one west, not west east, but northwest, right? Seattle, right? But you're going to have one closer to the destination. I'm not going to connect to a CDN that's in Seattle. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's going to be very slow.
It's logical.
Internet of Things. So here I would say the best example of an internet thing is Amazon Alexa. Why? Because it's a device that works only when it's connected to the internet.
That's right.
That's what an IoT is. It's a smart device. It's smart, but it's only smart if it's connected to the internet.
That's right.
But these are all examples of decentralized computing. Distributed databases. I don't think there's nothing here to go into. Tor, we talked about Tor yesterday. That is with our dark web, right? So we don't want to mess with Tor. We want to delve into that and lose our clearance. Yeah, I know.
I love Tor.
Yeah. I don't want to lose. I don't have a clearance, but if I was cleared, I definitely would not be going into it.
Okay.
Proxy.
Even on proxy websites when I was in the Navy, like they started looking at Facebook. I know this girl that I used to talk to. She used to get on she created a website to get on the dark web.
Yeah.
And used to like watch all these like videos, like shoots weird, like people back, police recording and stuff.
Oh yeah, the crazy ones where people get killed, and she liked to watch those. Yeah, people getting crushed and stuff. I couldn't do that. Yeah. The ones that you can't see on the internet, they bleep it out. Yeah. Yeah. There's videos of people getting crushed. Like literally, like a metal beam will crush a human and squash. Yeah. I forget what that website was. It was a website that you used to be able to access on the normal internet, but then they took it off. I forget what it was. I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't stomach it. Some of that stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm thinking of it now. This is grossing me out. I had a guy. That's what I was thinking of. A guy that was self-mutilation. He was self-mutilating. Yeah. But it was like. Gosh. It was like something that they did that turned him on though.
Wow.
But these are just. I'm just scrolling through and I'm like, it just pops up. I'm like, what is that? It's like, what? Oh man. That's like. Not that I went looking for that, but that's where I was like, all right, I got to get off this mess. This is crazy, man.
Yep.
She's weird, man. She's weird.
Okay, let's get into.
I'm sitting there like, too much two people drown. And I'm like,
Low balance rate.
and then they didn't come back up. Yeah. You know, it was underwater, and she was just. I'm like, are you gonna see it? I said it's not.
That's crazy, girl. I don't even know what to say. But here let's talk about this word high availability across zones. So one thing, and this is the concept I want you to understand what high availability is and what it means to be geographically dispersed, geo-redundant.
Remember high availability from
geographically
Cisco.
dispersed in different regions.
Here we go.
When I move my data to the cloud for ATG, we move it to the cloud with a data center that exists here in the United States because I don't want to go outside international because there's laws that won't protect my data the same way.
I don't care about that.
But let's just say something happened in the southeast region of the world, and my data center happened to be in Atlanta, Georgia, in the southeast region of the world. Would I not be able to access my data? And the answer to that is no. I still would be able to access my data. Because what happens is Microsoft guarantees that it's going to replicate my data to different regions around the world. So it's going to be in a data center on the West Coast. It might even be in a data center in Dubai or Europe. But I will pay money to have my data geographically replicated to more locations around the world. So the entire world would have to go down for my data, to go away. So that's what they're talking about there.
Test question.
Application virtualization. On a virtual machine, we want to have the ability to install applications on that virtual machine but not take up space because we have a limited amount of storage. So imagine if you had your desktop and you got 10 gigs. You can't put much anything on there except the operating system, right? So what they do is they use something called application virtualization, where I'll install all my games or my applications. Think about it like you got Xbox Cloud, Xbox Game Pass. You got Game Pass. Have you ever used Xbox Cloud? No. Xbox. Yes, stream games. So you know that Xbox Cloud, this is at cloud gaming. So you know Xbox Cloud, let's just say for example, because since we're all gamers in here, that makes sense. I feel like I want to go home and game today. I think guess what you guys got to do? Homework. I'm going to go home and game today. But anyways, all of these are cloud. So let's say this game, Pal World. This game's like 60 gigs. I don't want to take up 60 gigs on my machine. So this is actually a perfect example of application virtualization. I'm using it. I did this on the fly just now. So instead of me installing this application on my machine, Xbox says that it's installed on their servers, and I can click on this, and even though it's not installed on my computer, I can still play it. I'm playing it from their machines. That's called application virtualization. I'm using this from here on out in my class. Xbox Game Pass, right there. I've been using some other example, and it was confusing for students, but I think most students are gamers, and they understand this Xbox Game Pass. I don't need that. There we go. Oh, that's why it went to another line. It's all right. We got this other thing called containerization. Now, this concept's hard to comprehend, so do your best. Now, they have pictures here of a virtual machine versus containers, right? Containers versus virtual machines. That's what they talk about right here. Right? Now, a virtual machine allows me to install, look at this picture here, allows me to purchase a server, install an operating system on a server, that's Windows 10, and then download a hypervisor. So let me show you this, because I have it on my computer. I purchased a computer, that's the server. I installed Windows 11, you can see Windows 11, and then I downloaded a hypervisor. That's Oracle. I have it in my machine, Oracle VirtualBox. So what does this hypervisor allow me to do? It allows me to create virtual machines. You see there's 1, 2, 3 machines here. You see, I created one here called Alaska. So I can go up here to machine, I can go to new. I can name this one Kathy Bootcamp. I can tell it where I want to store it, which is my computer, C drive. So obviously, if I'm creating a virtual machine, I need to have space on the host machine I'm creating it on. Here, I can tell it what operating system. Now, if I select Windows, look at all the different Windows I can install. No, this is not allowing me to install Windows for free. All right, this is just allowing me to install the architecture to support that operating system. I still need the CD with the key. I need a license.
That's right.
I got to go out and purchase it.
That's right.
But I can install any OS on the virtual machines. Even if my computer is running Windows 11, I can put Mac on here. I don't need to run the same operating system. Do you hear that? Containers are not like that. If I create a container, any application I create on a container, it must run on the application that the host machine's running on.
So yeah, difference.
We make sense of that. Say it one more time. Virtual machines, I can create any virtual machine, and the application that's running on the virtual machine doesn't matter that my host is running Windows 11. So I'm just going to keep finishing. Here it's asking for how much memory do you want that virtual machine to have? Where's it getting the 2 gigs of memory from?
Recommendations. The recommendations.
From my machine, from the host machine, right? Where's it getting the CPUs? From the host machine. Where's it getting the hard drive? From the host machine. So you can see I'm going to run into problems very quickly. The more virtual machines I create, the less resources my host machine has. If I try to turn on 45 virtual machines, this laptop is going to crash because it's not going to be able to support all those virtual environments.
Remember that point.
The memory when it's powered on?
Yes. Yes. So yeah, if I power this on, which is not the point I'm trying to make here, it's going to say enter in the operating system disk. There's no operating system. I did not install the OS. All right. It just says that, hey, I have a virtual machine that's capable of running Apple. Now insert the machine. Now insert the software. Yeah. Apple does not run well on anything.
X, like Tuesday, for your class, you're going to see some problems.
Oh. You're the only one with the dirty mind, bro. We'll see. I'm gonna throw a joke out there in class in a second. I think we get to it today. I had one student in my last class that knew what I was talking about, but the rest of the students had no clue what I was talking about. You'll know. You'll know when I get to it. It's funny though. But anyways, going back to container. In order for me to create a container, all these applications that I use, they must be able to run on that operating system. So if I virtualize Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Adobe, I gotta have Windows running. If I got Linux running, all those applications are not gonna run on those containers because the host OS is running Linux. Over here, this host can run any operating system, Windows 10, but look, I can have any OS installed on my virtual machines with the virtual machine. Now that's the main difference. But why would we use one or the other? Containers are lightweight. They take up less space. They're super fast. Virtual machines, they have a use case because I can run a different operating system on my physical laptop. So maybe I want to run Apple and Linux, right, and DOS, but I don't want to get an Apple, Linux, and DOS machine. I want to run it on a single machine. Virtual machines are going to be best used for that, but they're not lightweight. They take up a lot of space. They're not fast. They boot up as slow as a physical machine. Make sense? Okay, good. 3 concepts here. VPC. I don't know if I have this in my notes. So we talked about what a cloud was, and now we're going to talk about something called a cloud within a cloud. Try to wrap your mind around that real quick. A VPC is a cloud within a cloud. I have a picture. Thought I had a picture. As I'm looking, I don't have the picture. Why don't I have that picture? Ah, come on, man. Security Plus. Where's my pictures at? Something's not right here. Something's not right. I have the wrong notes open, that's why. I know I created that. Security 601 boot camp. No, I had the right notes open. 601 notes. Give it a second, gang. It's loading pages and pages and pages. Page 19. Okay. I guess I don't have that picture here. But I do have that picture somewhere else, and I don't have time here to sit here and draw it out. So I'm gonna go here real quick. Show you guys a picture of a VPC. Pretty sure I have a picture here. These notes. what I can do is copy. Go here. You guys, in real time, it'll update for y'all. You just go down and re-download it again if you want it. I'm going to put a picture here. Control V. Okay. So here's the VPC. Alright. What we have here is we have Apple and Best Buy. We talked about Apple and Best Buy yesterday. They have what's called a business partner agreement. Right? We talked about this document called a memorandum of understanding. That's a handshake that they have that established that they're going to intend to work together one day. Right? Now, Apple employees need access to Best Buy data, and Best Buy employees need access to Apple data. So they're not going to physically go to Apple. They're going to access the data that's in the cloud. Same thing for Best Buy, right? Best Buy is not going to physically go to Apple. Apple's not going to physically go to Best Buy. They're going to log into each other's data over the internet. That's what the cloud is, right? So this big cloud represents Apple employees and their standard employees. They have access to Best Buy data. But a VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud, is a cloud within a cloud. So you see this little purple, orange cloud here? That's the cloud within the cloud. The cloud within the cloud is like creating a segment in the cloud. It's like segmenting the cloud. So we have all Apple employees have access to Best Buy's cloud, but here it says the CEO of Apple has access to Best Buy's private data, and they're keeping that in the VPC, the cloud within the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a way to segment data in the cloud is the best way that I can define it. But here's a picture so we can kind of wrap our head around it. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
I'm not sure why the picture kind of copied over a little bit blurry, it seems. Seems like it copied over blurry.
I'm double checking.
And you can see standard cloud and CEO. Kind of read it better here, but it seems like it copied over blurry. Let's see. Oh, it's clear. I just had to blow it up. So there's a CEO. They have access. CEO over here has access. Right. All right. So trying to explain some of this stuff in layman's terms. Back to PowerPoint. Serverless computing. I have a picture of serverless computing in the notes. Serverless. So a picture's worth 1,000 words. And what we see in this picture. Hang on a second. I'm trying to think of what I typed in. I know what the picture is at, but what did I? It's right here. Scroll up. It's serverless. Why wasn't it coming up? Serverless. It should have popped up. Anyways, here's serverless architecture. So we've all seen this before. We've all gone somewhere where somebody took their phone out and said, yeah, I can take that payment. They got the dongle, put it in, and swipe the card. Now you're thinking to yourself, wait a second, where's the cash register? Where's your point of sale system? Right? Where's your infrastructure that allows you to take credit card payments? Oh, it's in my pocket. So this is where technology's gone, serverless architecture. We didn't have less emphasis on hardware servers and more on the code and logic. Because now all we're going to do is download an app. Oh, you need to pay for something? Do you have Zelle? Do you have Venmo? We can take payments that way. Mm-hmm. And what's even crazier now is that you don't even need a dongle any longer because your phone has NFC. So you can take somebody's debit card and then tap it to your phone and take payment. That's what my barber does when he cuts my hair. I just found that out a month ago. I had no clue you could do that.
Yep.
Yeah, but they know.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I can start my business up tomorrow. If I wanted to sell roses for Valentine's Day, which is past, faster setup. I don't need to go out there and buy $10,000 worth of equipment and set it up for a cash register, my trunk of my car. I just have a phone, download the app. It allows for something called high availability. We just talked about HA. HA is the acronym, high availability. It means that we're able to maintain this application's upstate at all times. because where is this application installed? It's installed in a data center. This is Square app, by the way. So Square app has a data center somewhere with FT fault tolerance, multiple servers, and if one server fails, Square app's going to always be up. It's kind of like Netflix. Netflix has multiple redundant data centers too, so we're always going to be able to stream Netflix. Microservices. So now we are less redundant on a architecture called monolithic architecture. Right? I have this in my notes. The picture is right below this. I don't know why it keeps scrolling slow here. I have the filter on. But this is microservices. It says organize computing equipment to services to scale with demand. Spin up containers for specific functions in the cloud when needed, then the provision when not needed. So I use this picture as an example, but I use something else now as an example because the picture might not make complete sense. Right? It's not going to make sense if you just read it on your own. So I'm going to go to this website, Amazon, and Control N. Here we go, Amazon. Go into incognito mode. I need you guys to see what I'm looking up on Amazon. Yeah, so this is incognito mode. This is not my Amazon. Did you know you could click on the search bar up here and it will show you what's trending on Amazon? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what's trending. Mostly what God does, Savannah. This is what's trending now on the search. So on Valentine's Day it was flowers and all this kind of stuff, candy and stuff. So today this is what St. Patrick's Day is coming. Yeah, teeth bright.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, the teeth. Everyone's trying to get their teeth right. Yeah. I see people trying to get their teeth right. Yeah. But point being here is going to services. Over here, these are considered microservices because you can click on the account and that's going to give you the service of viewing your account. But maybe you want the service of your past orders, or maybe you want the service of browsing, or maybe you want a service of returning things. All of these are considered microservices, meaning that just because you click on browsing history and it says, hey, this link is down for maintenance right now, try again later. You might have seen something like before, not on Amazon. It could have been on any site. You click on an option that says this is down currently, try again later. Doesn't mean the entire website's down. So monolithic architecture, the word monolithic means that everything is running on one single server. So the ability for people to view your website, the ability for people to purchase things, the ability for people to sell things, the ability for people to log in, it's all running on one server. And if that server goes down, all those services go down too. That's not what's happening on the back end of Amazon. Everything, all of these services are not running on one single machine. They're all running on what's called microservices. They're all independent of one another.
Okay.
So all of these are what's considered containers. Right? Gotcha. And I can spin up multiple account containers, multiple orders containers, multiple browsing history containers, multiple login containers to log into my account. So when demand increases during Christmas or Prime Day or Black Friday, I'm spinning up more login containers so people can log into Amazon and more buy containers so people can buy things. And as demand decreases, I'm going to spin down these containers because I don't need 20 different 2,000, Amazon, 2 million microservices for people logging in, 2 million for people buying things.
Okay. Remember that point.
Demand's decreased. Let me go ahead and spin down some of these machines. Because all these machines you spin up take resources, take money
containers,
to use these microservices.
Versus virtual machines. Containers versus virtual machines.
Yep. So going back to my picture now that I've explained that's what they're showing here in the picture. The picture is showing that there's a website called buyabook.com, just like Amazon. And they have a login service for people to log in and buy books. They have a buy service for multiple people to buy things. They have a return service for multiple people to return. Well, if all of these services were installed on one server and the server went down, that means the website will go down, the login service will go down, buy service will go down, return service will go down. We don't want that. It's a single point of failure. your mind's working wrong here. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the arrows and directions and stuff like that. No. Yeah. I don't even know where you were going with that. I should have let you finish.
It should point at different services to indicate that every service is created by someone totally different.
Okay.
It's just like one arrow point down.
I see what you're saying. I got what you're saying. Okay, but yeah, I see what you're saying, but I guess that's not the point of this picture, I guess. The point of this picture is that one of these services could go down by. So I can log in still, I can return things, but I might not be able to buy things until they fix that particular service. Doesn't mean the entire website's down. So that's what microservices is, right? And maybe the buy service, maybe I got lots of people buying things today. So what I can do is I can scale with demand. I can increase the services of buy. So going from 20 to 30, so 30 people could log in and buy things at the same time. So that's what they're talking about in that picture.
Okay.
What's going on here? Right. My computer was acting a little sluggish. I just bought this computer, so it starts acting up. I'm sending it back. Infrastructure as a code. So infrastructure as a code is, you saw how I created that virtual machine.
Yeah.
Right? And I have one virtual machine I created, Kathy's Bootcamp. Now, what if somebody said, I need you to create 40 of those? I have to go here to machine, I have to go through the wizard 40 times. I don't want to do that. So infrastructure to code is a way that I can create something called a script. I can click one button and it'll create 40 virtual machines at the click of a button.
Wow.
It's called infrastructure as a code. I'm creating virtual machines using code, a script. Infrastructure as a code. So there's lots of coding scripts out there that make your job easier, because who really wants to go and create 40 VMs one by one when you can click one button and it does it like that.
Huh.
All right, software-defined networking, SDN. So we have networking devices. Here's a picture of a switch, right? This is a networking device. Here's a real picture of a switch, right? We got routers that look similar to this. But then we have applications that virtualize a network. So the switch doesn't really exist. It's an application you can download. In fact, it's a virtual machine. You can download a switch as a virtual appliance. There's a whole website called VMware Marketplace.
Right.
VM stands for virtual machine. Obviously, the VM is VMware is a virtual machine leader. I guess they were the leaders in the industry. Most companies use VMware to virtualize their infrastructure. It's loading. I've noticed that this site is slow. So it's not my laptop. I just noticed that this site is actually slow. So I'm going to wait, hopefully, to load here in a second, and then we can actually look at some virtual appliances, right? Because there's something called SDX, software defined anything. Because on VMware Marketplace, not only can you download networking appliances, you can download security appliances, you can download authentication appliances, you can download anything that you could physically go out and purchase in the store, you can download it as software now.
Wow.
Right? Now, networking is using 3 different planes to control how network traffic flows.
There goes Cisco.
Control plane is me telling the traffic in the network how to flow. I'm controlling it. Think about it like this. You got a guy at stoplight went out, and you got people controlling traffic. Stop. You go. Left, go. Right, you can go. You stop. Control plane is the same thing. I log into the device and I tell PC1 you can talk, PC2 you can't talk, PC3 you go.
Gotcha.
Right? Now, what type of traffic am I prioritizing? We talked about that today. What type of traffic should be prioritized? Number 1.
Number 2, number 3, number 4. Gotcha.
So today we talked about when we're sending traffic on a network. We talked about yesterday something called quality of service. That was Monday. And I said there's certain traffic we want to prioritize to be more important than other types of traffic. But today we talked about the traffic that we do want to have top priority, right? Because we're talking about networking, talk about VLANs. We talk about two different types of VLANs. I was saying that I would want this VLAN to have top priority when it comes to sending traffic to the network. The voice VLAN, voice, VoIP, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can control traffic to be prioritized, specifically voice, in the control plane, right? The data plane says how it handles switching and routing of the traffic, right? So data plane is how it's going to handle that traffic. Think of this as a firewall. And the firewall is going to say that this traffic, right, you're allowed into the network, and this traffic you're not allowed into the network. Imposition of security access controls. So think of it as a firewall. Control plane controls the traffic, and then the data plane tells the data that you're allowed to go and you're not allowed to go. I know this is a little confusing. Trust me, I remember when I first learned this, because they sound like the same thing, but they're very different. I think the only way you can truly understand this is configuring it on a switch.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have time to do that.
Yep,
And then the management plane is me logging into the device to manage the switch, to configure the control in the data plane. So management plane would essentially be the console in which I log into the switch to tell the switch what I want it to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do it manually.
Gotcha.
All right. So I was trying to wait for this software-defined networking. I guess the site just locked up. All right, that was me. So here, we're looking at software-defined networking. So I'm going into here, and all of these are network appliances, but they're software. Here's a load balancer. Right? Well, we're really looking for a network appliance, like a router or a switch. Right? Here's a firewall. That's a networking device. Let's see if we can find a router or a switch. I know there's a router and a switch in here. Here's a router. See that? Router appliance. So I click on it, and it's software. It says you can download it. It doesn't tell me the price. It says you got to call for the price. But it's software. It says it recommends this amount of RAM. And it runs on ESXi. That's the hypervisor, not Oracle VirtualBox. Oracle VirtualBox is what I just used. That's for home use. This is for corporate use. So we can download this software, and we can actually run this program. Here we go. But the key here is that this is software. It's not a physical device. All right. This is a picture trying to represent the data control plane and management plane. It's exactly what I explained just a second ago. All right. If you don't get it, I would say just memorize the definitions. Right.
Yeah, we got it.
But this is something, like I said, I understand if it doesn't make sense, because legitimately the only way that this would make sense is if I had a 2 weeks for this and I actually took people into the management plane. But you can see people here are logging into the management plane because this is where they manage it. This is where they tell the device what I want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to program it. So you program it with scripts. That's what this piece of paper is.
Mm-hmm.
Typically you use script. You create a script. You say, hey, if you get this data, do this. If you get this data, do this. If you get this data, do this. And then what happens from the control plane is the data plane tells it how it's going to route to specific devices in the network.
Yes.
So me trying to explain it a second time with the
What's
picture,
route and how
and
to
I understand it might not still make sense.
How to route.
Okay.
Look, this is what it. I got you. All right.
All right. So data just think about how the data is going to route in my network.
Where it goes on paths.
Right? That's why they have routers here. How the data is going to route in my network. Yeah, I have yet. I'm just being honest. I have yet to see a question where they question us about which plane is doing what in this scenario, because to be honest, this is more of a networking concept. This is something that if we were a Net Plus, that's all we would be talking about. But this is a Security Plus class, so to be honest, really what we need to know is what SDN is, software defined networking. And why is this more secure than a hardware device, right? That's why I was getting ready to summarize here. This is one primary reason. The cost of this virtual appliance here doesn't cost nearly as much as the physical appliance. 10 times cheaper. You know that $90,000 device? You could download it for probably $1,000. Right? It'll do the same thing. It's resilient because it's software. It's not going to break. It's going to break. You need power. You need cooling.
That's true.
You need a place to place the device.
That's
Space.
true. He's right.
Human error. So all that stuff is stuff that we need physically when we do this, but software-wise, we don't need all this stuff. All right? Backup's even easier too. Ease of recovery. If a physical appliance dies and it took you all day to configure it, software-wise, you can, at the click of a button, right-click and back up that application, and if it dies, since it's software, you just say go into the application, you say I need to restore that from yesterday. 2 buttons, and you're up and running. Can't compete with it. And that's why all of these vendors, you can go here, we can go back here. You can see all these vendors. Oracle is there. These guys called Ngrok, I don't know who they are. F5. These are all hardware vendors. They all sell physical equipment. But they said, we're going to get into the business of using virtualization. Cisco sells physical equipment. But Cisco wants now to get into the virtual market. So they said, hey, you download our application. Download our Cisco device. Use it. They know that's where the money's going. Can't beat them join it. All right. So just to review here, 6B. We're good on time. Zero Trust Architecture, 6B. So let's see here.
6B.
Embedded system. Speed things up. Give you a break here.
ACL refers to access control lists. They are used to control which users
158
have access to servers.
So an embedded system is any system that has a specific function, but it has a computer inside of it to help it perform that function. Printer. It is a function to print. That's a specific function, but it's got a computer inside of it to help it print. That's why printers have firmware updates. You got to update them, right? Cars nowadays, you got Tesla. Its specific function is to drive, but then you have a computer chip in it to help it do self-driving. You got a computer chip in a lot of cars now to help monitor lane departure. If you're going over to a lane, the wheel will move and get you back in your lane.
I got mine.
So we have computers inside of lots of equipment nowadays that are considered embedded inside of that system. Even though it's a specific function, like a TV, watch TV, you got smart TVs nowadays. And smart TVs get updates too. So all of these things that are embedded systems have vulnerabilities because if that computer gets compromised in that system, just like my smartphone, get updates, then there's a vulnerability somebody can compromise my data. So purpose here is just to make sure that we know that embedded systems, they are specialized computers. They're systems that have a specific purpose like my phone, but there are computers inside of it to help it do that function. And if I don't update my phone, it's going to be vulnerable to attack.
Right.
We talked about this. ICS. Any organization, here's a list of all of them right here. Any organization where machinery makes up the majority of the workforce is an industrial controlled system. All right. So in the ICS environment, we have, going back to my notes here.
Yep.
This is a SCADA environment, right? Here is a manufacturing. Think about a warehouse. These guys are wearing hard hats in a warehouse. On and off switch. Here we have a PSI gauge, pressure gauge, and here we have a water level monitoring.
So what's happened here is we've hired people to sit in this warehouse and monitor these things. Now, that's working automatic. That's what a warehouse is. Things just work. Think about the movies, right? But if something breaks, we need people there to tell us when it breaks and to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens here is that we got to pay these people 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, to come in here and babysit the environment. It's going to work if nothing messes up. So what they decided to do is fire all those people.
Yeah.
And replace it with a device called a SCADA device. So a SCADA device is this little hardware architecture that now plugs into all of those devices and monitors all those devices. And it sends a report back to somebody who sits at an office remotely to monitor that organization. That would be me or you, right?
Yep.
Now, our job would not be to monitor one location, but we're going to monitor lots of organizations because they can pay us to do that. Right? And I can multitask. I can manage 20 of them.
Yeah.
So a SCADA device allows me to manage large amounts of ICS environments remotely with this SCADA utility, this tool that we can place in an ICS environment. RTOS in the book, real-time operating system. Anything we have to monitor in real time is considered real-time operating system, RTOS. So, for example, health, medical equipment, that's RTOS. So ability for me to monitor somebody's heart beating, that's RTOS. Pacemaker, that's RTOS. Internet things, I've already gave you guys some examples of an IoT device. The one that I use in all my classes, not smart cars, vehicles, but the appliance that I use is the Amazon Alexa. Alexa essentially is a brick, unless it connects to the internet. It's a big old red dot. Do you have an Alexa at home? I'm about to say, if you got Alexa at home, hey man, you ain't secure. I know Bluetooth's bad. We talked about that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good for you, man. I was against Alexa, but then pandemic hit and my parents wouldn't let me come to their house. So the only way I could talk to my parents was with the Alexa Show, the Echo Show. The Echo Show has a TV screen on it. So I put one in my parents' house and one in my house, and we can just kind of drop in and we can see. It's like video talking. Yeah, because they don't have iPhone, FaceTime and stuff. So, you know. But yeah, I use it then, and then I was like, this is kind of convenient. So then I got some more Alexa devices, speakers and stuff, so I can play music in different areas in the house. I know it's not secure, but I'm already being watched and tracked with my phone anyhow, so it's all good. All right. So it's internet things, right? Best practices with internet things. Follow the provided guidance regarding security implementation of IoT. All of these down here on page 162, they're frameworks. No, we don't need to go in there and read about these. What's important is that if we have Internet of Things devices in our house, we don't want to keep them on the same network that we use to give out to people who come to our house to get onto our wireless network. Think of it like this. You go to Starbucks. Starbucks has two networks. Starbucks employees, Starbucks guests.
That's true.
Right? Starbucks had one network, and you logged into it, and you could see the employees' database and the salaries and everything else. That's not secure. So you have the same concept at home when you have Internet things. You got your home network, and then you have your IoT network. You don't give out your IoT network to people who come over to your house who use your Wi-Fi. You want to keep that stuff secure. Here it says that some IoT devices, they're rushed to market and they're unpatchable. I asked a kid in class, when's the last time you updated your Alexa? Everyone in class was like, I don't know. I don't even know how to update Alexa. So some things have the inability to get patched, or they're more difficult to patch. Right? That's like me taking the Alexa, having to disconnect it and plug it into my computer and push a patch to the Alexa. Right? You don't have to, because Alexa does over-the-air updates. Your phone, it does over-the-air updates, right? You say, yeah, update, yeah, enter. But imagine if you didn't take your phone, you had to plug it into your computer to push the update.
I remember that.
Yeah, flip phone.
That's a good point, dude.
That's fine. I mean, Tim, our sales guy, he had a flip phone. He calls the military guys for contracts, and he always used a flip phone. He finally got an iPhone. He just got tired of it. He's like, I got an iPhone. I can send you pictures now.
I don't have an answer for that.
We talked about this one already.
How do you update Alexa?
We talked about this. Depermerization happened with the pandemic.
To update,
right?
go to the Alexa
Depermerization
app,
says
click on
just focus
Settings,
from
select your
defending the
device,
network boundaries,
and look for
protecting
available
individual
updates.
resources. What this means is that prior to the pandemic, and I'll just reference it to my environment, guys, all right? Prior to the pandemic, the only way we could access resources is if we had to come to work, right? You couldn't do it from home because the perimeter security was too secure. We didn't allow people to work from home. Now, what happened with the pandemic hit is we had to perform what's called depermerization. We had to get rid of some of those security boundaries to allow people to work from home. So this happened in my network. I'm sure it happened in a lot of other people's environments, right? This is what they're talking about, right? So working from home, that's what trends us to performing depermerization. The pandemic trended everyone to depermerize.
Depermerize. Wow. Depermerize.
They got 4 slides about the same thing here. Right?
Okay.
We're done with this chapter. All right, now we can take a break.
All right. Good. Okay.
Phase 2 is there, right?
Mm-hmm. All right.
On this side, I'm probably gonna I'll let you guys go a little early. We still have an hour, so let's go and take a 10-minute break, come back, and then we're trying to knock out one more lesson and look at some sims today. If we get to the sims today, we'll get to them on Wednesday.
Okay.
Because we have a 5-day boot camp. It's not going to be a 4-day boot camp, so we got time.
Okay.
I might go more towards doing another lesson than looking at the sims. You got any questions? You good? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mic check. All right. I'm good. Okay, mic check. All right, let's do this again. Let's go back. All right. Yeah, we're doing real good. This was Sean Mitchell, and we have his class. Now it's made to 4. We'll jump in there now, and we'll continue this browser. Okay. Test. All right. Mic check. All right, we're gonna. How's that locking? Yeah. Okay, we got a problem here. Good. Is it still going on? It's still going on. I'm gonna close. Yeah, I'm going to join meeting. There's again. No. It's still stuck. That's the problem. What the fuck? Oh, there we go. That's the problem. All right, go on the Teams app. Come on. Oh, hell no then. All right, let's do this. Okay, close it. All right, gotta make sure we have a yeah, make sure that is off. FX sound, boom, boom, boom. Okay, now we open up this, a new app. Okay, and it should open up Teams. Let's do it. Should automatically do it by itself. Give it a couple seconds. Alright. Alright, don't worry about that right now. Come on. Gotta wait. Alright, no problem. Task manager. Yep, because of this time. Task manager it is. Yeah, I'm good. Alright, we're gonna close Teams. Thank you. We're gonna close. Thank you. We're gonna close. Keep it open. Alright. Continue in the browser. Yeah. Blank. There we go. And setup. No suppression high. Mirror my video. Beautiful. Join now. Beautiful. Okay. Now it's working. Now the sound should be perfect. It should be perfect on the processes of Windows 8. Yeah. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 3:30 p.m.
All right, make sure we. I'm not sure if I should. Yeah, open the door. Okay. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Perfect. Good. I'm a fat guy. I gotta work on that. I know. God damn it. I'm gonna tell him, Jim, you fat ass. Don't worry. Let's see if I could take a little bit of that blurriness out. Then we can stand up anyway, get out of fucking sedentary position all day. Alright, now, good. Make sure my mic is on and then I'm not on mute. Right? Yeah, I'm not on mute. Meantime, the good news is we know the 306 is tomorrow. Praise God. So, you know, you only got, like I said, $5,000. So you got to get a job. $5,000 ain't crap. That's just a month worth of unemployment. So, I've been number rice, so I don't think I'm so glad. It just shows you how hard it loops back. But see, I didn't want to go to I didn't want to go to the swimming pool. That's what I'm gonna do. I want to pay for the swimming pool. I gotta pay for gas too. You know, so I'll get to the swimming pool.
I said 10 minutes. We're starting back in 1 minute. Alright, let's get it. Less than 7. I said we're gonna go probably 7 tomorrow. I'm gonna finish one more lesson for today. I could do 2 more because I really should be keeping you guys here a little bit longer than I am, but let you guys go and go.
I'm good. If you want to keep going.
Well, of course you're good. You're home. You can't talk.
Roger that.
We want to go home. Alright. Asset tracking. So this is asset management. If there's anything that, wow, to use my words, I took them out of my mouth now. Anything that has value to the organization is an asset. So I talk about tangible things, laptops, phones, desktops, tablets. And intangible things are going to be data. Data is an asset. People are assets, right? So we have to, when it comes to managing our assets, that's what asset management is. It's managing our assets. That's what this chapter is talking about. So inventory is one way. We got to be able to know what we have. Now, manual inventory, sure, some people still do that. How many monitors do you have in the back? How many phones do you have in the back? How many monitor arms do you have in the back? How many keyboards? How many mice do you have in the back? How many headsets? That's manual inventory. You have an Excel sheet, you keep track of it, right? Because we don't want to order too many or not have enough when we actually need it. Then we have automated ones where we can scan on a network. So there's tools where you can just click a button and it'll scan and tell you how many laptops, desktops, tablets, phones are connected to the network, right? So that's the software. We have databases, which is called a CMDB, Configuration Management Database. This is going to tell me, how to configure all those assets. How is that switch configured? In case it dies, I need to know how to configure it again. What about the router? What about the desktop? What about the phone? How to configure these? We have something called mobile device management, which is a whole section in the book that talks about how do we manage our phones that we give employees in the environment. Yeah, mobile device management is a full-fledged tool that allows us to wipe a phone, delete data from the phone is what it is, locate a phone, right? Think about your iPhone, iCloud. You can do all of that in iCloud. You can wipe, you can look at pictures and videos remotely. You can find my iPhone. You can track your iPhone. So that's a mini mobile device management. But in a full-fledged mobile device management, I can lock your device down. You can't do anything. And of course, cloud is the new thing. So we have asset management in the cloud nowadays. But asset protection concepts is to make sure that we can identify what our assets are, and we prioritize assets based on the sensitivity of the asset. Something that's top secret data, I got to have security to protect that top secret asset, right? So that's why you at the military have a desktop or a monitor that has top secret labeled on it, because it's got top secret data on it, and we have to make sure that we secure it because it's top secret. Standard naming conventions are ways in which we can create something like ATL DC01. This is a standard name convention. It gives me the location of the system. It gives me what the system's doing. DC is a domain controller, and it tells me how many do I have. 1. So this is the primary one. I might have DC02, which is the secondary one. Primary one fails, I got the secondary one, right? Or LT 001, laptop, right? One of a couple hundred that we could have. So I should be able to look at the name of the system rather than let's look at the name of my system, which you guys are going to probably laugh at.
but I don't have standard naming convention on it because my system, I don't care how it's named. Where's it at? This PC properties. I did name it something smart.
All right.
ThinkPad, Sean. So yes,
Alright.
people will know when I connect to the network that it's a ThinkPad and my name is Sean.
Outstanding.
Should have probably named it that. It's probably not the most secure thing to do, but I did it so that I know when I'm at home what machine's connected to the network. I didn't leave it default. Surprisingly, I don't know why. Anyways, that's what a standard naming convention is. I can look at it, I can identify it on the network. Configuration and change management, they're the same thing. Anytime I make changes on an asset, specifically think about an ACL. PC1 was allowed yesterday, PC1 is not allowed today. I need to make sure that I track that configuration change and that I notify people that I made the change. So when my network engineer comes in the next day, he's going to try to revert the change that I made. I made that change for a reason, all right? Data backups. So backups are an asset. Data is an asset. And we have to make sure we back up our data because that's the one thing that can cause a company to close shop. Right? And that's what ransomware does. Ransomware protection is going to protect against us getting ransomware, which encrypts my data. And then I got to pay a fee to get that data unencrypted, obviously, right? So there's ways in which we can back data up. We can back it up to the cloud. We can back it up to a hard drive locally. If we do back it up to something locally, we should take a copy of that data off-site. The building burns down. We don't want our data backups to burn down with the building. But most people are doing this, backing up in the cloud. Data deduplication says that we're going to look through all the data I backed up and delete any redundant data because this is going to free up space. Restore options. So there's that word granular. Granular means we can have a detailed way of restoring things. I can restore a specific file, I can restore a folder, or I can restore an entire database. It's up to me. Okay? All of our data should be encrypted, all right? So data at rest, data in transit, data in use, we have some type of form of encryption. We're making sure that data stays secure. Just as a review, data at rest, we're using AES to encrypt the data. Data in transit, we're going to be using, we talked about today, TLS. We talked about IPsec today for VPN traffic. HTTPS, we talked about SSH for securely remoting and management of our data. That's what SSH is. We're not going to use Telnet, it's unsecure.
Roger.
Snapshots. The one thing I failed to show you guys this morning in Oracle was when I create a virtual machine, the very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a snapshot.
Yep.
So I can click on this, and here's an option for snapshot. Now I've already taken a snapshot here. You can see my snapshot here is before patch. So the current state is when I turn a machine on, that's where it's at currently. Right? Now if I decide to patch it, and the patch doesn't go right, which happens a lot of times, I click here and I click restore. And to go back to the state of when I had created the system before I applied the patch. So snapshots is a term used specifically for virtual machines, not for a backup though. It's to protect my data, the system state. Right? It's not a specific backup. So this is actually a picture of VMware. Is that VMware? This looks like VMware. There's no way to define. This could be hypervisor, which is Windows uses, but it's some other type of virtualization hypervisor. It's a lot of stuff here. Journaling, remote journaling, mirroring. I'm going to go refer to the book to see how deep I want to get into this, how deep the book gets into it real quick. Alright, so one page, yeah, the book gets into it pretty deep. You can look a whole page. 178. So replication journaling. Journaling is the concept of backing up data remotely. That's all it is, right? And there's different ways in which we can back up data remotely, replicating data. the different ways we're going to talk about which one's faster. Some are slow, some are fast. So a practical example of replication, which means I'm replicating or backing data up somewhere else, is called database mirroring. Now this is the fastest, because mirroring means the same data I have on site is the same data that's in the cloud. We have exactly the same copies. Any changes made to primary database are automatically replicated to the second database. So remote mirroring or database mirroring is the fastest. Go ahead and just type in here. Fastest. On the other hand, journaling records change to a data in a separate dedicated log known as journaling. Organizations can track and monitor data modifications and revert to previous state if necessary. Journaling is beneficial for data recovery if system crashes. It enables the system to identify, undo any incomplete transactions that might have caused inconsistencies. Replay transactions that occur after the full system backup was completed. It provides greater granularity, to say the word again, for restores. Means I can specifically identify what I want to restore. What specifically caused the system to crash? Because maybe, let's just say that I don't know what caused the system to crash, so I decided to reinstall Windows 10. That's going to fix the issue, but there could have been one specific thing that caused it. You updated the browser. You changed from Google Chrome to Firefox. So this journaling will say, hey, I've identified specifically, it says journaling is beneficial for data recovery and system crashes. It enables the system to identify and undo any incomplete transactions that might have caused inconsistencies. Anything. I have updated the browser. Or replay transactions that occurred after the full system backup is completed. It provides more detail for restoring and greatly minimizes data loss. So they have an example here. I gave my example. A practical example of journaling is using file system journaling, such as Journaled File System, JFS, or they call it NTFS now, with journaling enabled. These file systems maintain a record of all changes made to files, allowing for data recovery and consistency checks after unexpected system shutdowns or crashes. Remote journaling. So this is the term I was looking for. Remote journaling using SANs and VM applications or advanced data protection methods that maintain data availability and integrity across multiple locations. Remote journaling creates and maintains journaling and data changes at a separate remote location, that's the cloud, allowing for data recovery and ensuring business continuity in case of local failures, because it's back in the cloud. SAN replication duplicates data from a SAN to another in real time or near real time. SAN stands for Storage Area Network. Did I show you guys a picture of the Synology device in this class?
No.
If you see the picture, you remember, but I probably did not. No. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you a NAS, and then I'll show you a SAN. So a NAS looks like a SAN, but this is what would be a home version of a SAN, network attached storage. So here's a group of hard drives. We got 6 hard drives here. On the back of this, you can see you can connect it to the internet. That means I can access data anywhere. As long as it's connected to the internet, whatever is installed in these hard drives, I can access the data. The purpose of having multiple drives is that if one of the hard drives fail with your data is going to be spread across all 6 hard drives, so it's still safe. There's no single point of failure here. And we can rebuild that data that was once on this drive by replacing it with a new hard drive. A SAN looks like this. It looks like a NAS, but look how many drives a SAN has. This is a lightweight one. This is not something you're going to install in your house. There's multiple drives here, right? And it has more compute, more storage, more scalability. It's $25,000, and it's better for customization, security-wise. There's a lot more things you can do with managing data on a SAN that you cannot do with managing data on a NAS, because NAS is for home use. Now, where are we getting at with that? We talked about SAN replication. All right, so just being able to back my data up to a hard drive local storage rather than backing it up remote journaling, which is going to be in the cloud, right? Off-site somewhere is what I'm saying. So we're going to say this is used for local storage. Storage. And it's fast. This is used for remote storage. And we're just going to say fast. You don't need to know it's fastest. It's not going to test us on that. Doesn't seem that's where they're going here. Although in 601, that's what they had. They had slower, slowest. All right. Then we have virtual machine replication. So we can back up virtual machines, but a snapshot is not a backup. But we can replicate virtual machines, and that takes specific special software to back a virtual machine up. Yes. No. So snapshots only, you would not, yeah, that's a good question. A snapshot is used to back up a point in time on that specific system. So if I use a snapshot to create multiple machines, it's not an entire operating system. It's a point in time on that system. Some people have used this, and I don't know if you used this before, but have you ever used System Restore on Windows?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know you have, man. System Restore. So System Restore, there was a feature in Windows a long time ago that allowed you to go to a calendar.
And go right back to that date and time.
Yeah, and to go right back to that date and time. I use it a lot because maybe I got a virus. Now you could actually go on a calendar.
Oh, look
so
at
this
that.
is only choosing what they have, but there's an option where you can customize how often you want to perform a system restore. And you could go on the calendar, see? You could go on the calendar, you could tell it, I want a system restore every single day. So here I could go back all these bold dates, I can go back all these dates. But every date, it takes a restore point, it takes space on your hard drive.
Right.
So some people who are not technical would not set this up, and that would leave you out of luck because you could only go back to the dates they chose. Right. So that's what a snapshot is. Replication is not snapshot. This is essentially a backup, right, of a virtual machine. Of course, why we want to do that because all of these are assets. We got SAN, that's assets for our data. We got virtual machines, that's assets for our systems. We got database replication, that's assets for our data. Data's on our virtual machines too. So all these are ways to essentially back up my data. Speaking of assets, when we do dispose of assets, we got to make sure we do it in a proper way. Sanitation. We're going to look at a SIM tomorrow. I'm not going to do it today. But one of the SIMs that we're going to look at is a SIM that's a click and drag. It tells us how to classify our assets, and then it tells us how to properly dispose of our assets. So, for example, one of the questions is going to say, how would you classify intellectual property code that has been written to a hard drive? Intellectual property, that's going to be proprietary information because that's thoughts and ideas or intellectual property, thoughts and ideas for that particular organization, and how that particular organization is going to, I probably shouldn't use this example, but something we're going to talk about tomorrow, how that company thoughts and ideas are used to run that particular code. So we have different classifications, and we talked about secret, top secret, classified, public, right? Another one is intellectual property, which is music, movies, books, thoughts and ideas of people. That's where that copyright comes from. Like you can't basically burn a movie and redistribute the movie and sell it and make money off of it. Copyright infringement, right? That's thoughts and ideas. Right. Same thing for music. And same thing for code. Developers, that's their code. It took me 10 hours to create that code. You can't redistribute it as your code.
So we classify that as intellectual property, and then we talk about how do we sanitize that? How would I want to make sure that if I got rid of that, nobody else would have access to it? So we'll have 2 click and drag approaches where we can destroy it with destruction shredding, or sometimes they call it a degausser. Degaussing is what you use on a hard drive. I'll show you a picture tomorrow. And then we have options for like a solid state, like wiping it, formatting, erasing the data, or shredding. Right? Shredding it, right? Because you can't degauss a solid state drive. You got to shred it. You got to cut it up in pieces. So, paper. We have documents that have PII, employees' social security numbers on it. We're going to shred the paper, right? So those are the things that we're going to see tomorrow on how we can destroy and we can classify that data on how important that data is. So that's what they're talking about in the book. And there's a whole sim on that that's probably going to be testing us on that concept. Continuity. So yesterday we talked about BCP, business continuity, how my business continue to operate and make money. A co-op is a place in which I can say, hey, if my business is unable to run, can I use your business as a backup? Got 2 hospitals. Hospital here, hospital down the street, 5 minutes down the street. I called the other hospital and said, hey, if our beds get packed, can I move some of my patients over there? That's a co-op. They say, yeah, you can use some of our beds. But guess what? Pandemic hits, and now my beds are packed, their beds are packed, and I got more patients coming in. It's hard to uphold a co-op because when things like that happen, it's not legally binding. It's a phone call. It's a favor for a favor, right? So we typically don't want to use that as our backup plan. We want a different, I want to buy another hospital that's vacant just in case I do need to use a place. I have it. I want to depend on somebody else. Capacity planning and risk. People are risk. Whew. Say this 10 times. The weakest link in any organization is the human, right? It is, right? So given a question exam, that's always going to be the answer. It's the weakest link. So this is why we train people. That's why you're here, to get trained and get your certification. So you can start training other people and educating them and everything you learned about all these security vulnerabilities and social engineering tactics and baiting and everything else we've talked about. But yeah, we have to think about people's risk, and when it does come to the business has been destroyed, can people work from home remotely until we get the business up and running? Or is there ultimate places, ultimate structures that we go? That's what the hot, cold, warm site was we talked about yesterday, right? I don't know where they're going with this, but of course, we're talking about risk. Yeah, layoffs are a risk. Overhiring, because now we've got too many people on payroll and we didn't think about our business isn't growing as fast as we thought it was. That actually happened to one of the guys that works here. He got laid off in the company. He left. He was getting ready to get laid. No, I'm trying not to be on his business and let you guys on his business, but something happened in his company where the new company he went to, they were growing too fast and they ended up laying him off just as he got hired at this company. You would think that if you're going to hire me, I'm going to be there for a minute. But they were growing too fast. Rapid hiring. They hired so many people that they just were like, that's a risk that we're not going to be able to accommodate people's payroll. Grew too fast. There's this word high availability. We talked about this already. Here's hot, cold, warm site. We talked about that verbally yesterday, right? I told you this is the most expensive. I have here, 2 to 3 hours, right, to get up. This is going to be about 12 hours to get back up. And this is going to be about 2 to 3 days to get back up and running. And again, most expensive. So I just put dollar figures here. This costs the most. The cloud, though, this is the best.
Gotcha.
Best option. Right? It's the fastest and it's the cheapest.
So what would be the number of days that would take to get up?
I don't have a number of days, and the number of days that I have listed here, please disregard that.
Okay.
That's not something you're going to be tested on.
Okay.
I just have this as a reference, because sometimes the people need that to understand the concept. This is going to take the longest. That's what I'm trying to say. This is going to be the quickest, and this is somewhere in between. Right?
every book I've read has given different time frames. So you're not going to be tested on a specific time frame because every book has a different time frame. So to promote high availability or redundancy, we have two of everything. If one thing fails, we have something else that's going to take over. That's what load balancing does, right? I don't want to send all the traffic to one login server and everyone's coming back from launch and I got 1,000 people logging into one server and the server crashes. So one thing I can do to promote high availability, I got two servers. Half the people log into this server, half of you going to log into this server, right? And if one thing fails, failover testing means I'm going to test to make sure what would happen if my internet in this building went down right now. Right? I don't want to wait to find out. I want to test it. So a CIO, he would actually get proactive. So CIO at one of my other offices, he would actually come in and he'd say, I'm going to the server room and I'm unplugging the internet. He would do that during production. He wouldn't even wait after hours. He wanted to test if the backup circuit was working.
All right, I like
and
that.
he wanted to know how fast it took to fail over.
Yes,
Are people going to call help desk saying that internet went down? Well, our failover was so good that nobody ever called help desk when he tested it.
Oh,
it happened that quick.
Back up. Okay. Right.
I just talked about this. I showed you guys the difference between, you agree, Ricky, active passive and active active?
Yep, you did.
Okay. Just making sure. A virtual IP, this is a high-level concept. When I mean high-level concept, it means it's probably something you're not going to be tested on in Security Plus. But I want to give you a high-level overview of this because it gets a lot deeper than this. A virtual IP address is an IP address that doesn't really exist. That's why it's virtual. Why the heck would I use a VIP, virtual IP address? For redundancy. That's the high level. That's what you should know for Security Plus. It gets way deeper than that in networking, right? But we are using a virtual IP address for redundancy. That's the purpose of it, all right? I'm just going to move on because I could spend 30 minutes explaining that. And I'm probably getting deeper than I need to get for that. Here, this is the reason I'm skimming through this chapter because a lot of this stuff is common sense, gang. UPS, that's for power redundancy. See, UPS, you got under your, not here, but you probably have it at work. Generators give us more power. UPS is 15, 30 minutes. Backup battery power. Just use the safe to shut down your computer. This could last all day. This could maybe last all week. Right? And this could support more than just a PC. It could support your entire building. Think about your house. Generator. Now, surge protectors can protect against backup battery. Right? Surge protectors protects against a fault or influx of electricity to that device. It's not going to keep it up and running, though. It's probably still going to trip and shut down your computer. Oh, you probably have both then. You probably got both. Yeah, you got both. Most companies got both. You got money, you got both. So vendor diversity is a thing in which we want to promote diversity, platform and vendor. So sometimes they call this software diversity and vendor diversity. So now they changed it to platform. The question is, does all the systems in your organization run Windows? And I've had people answer yes because they don't know. And the answer to that is no. Not all your systems and servers and backend run Windows. You don't know because you don't have access to that stuff. And the reason why we don't want all of the platforms, Windows software running in the background is because if Windows is vulnerable, it gets a vulnerability, then everything that runs Windows in your environment has the same vulnerability.
Right.
So they want to make it diverse as possible so half my network's down. Same thing for vendor diversity. Do I have all Cisco hardware, Cisco switches, Cisco routers, Cisco wireless points? Probably not. I got to mix and match with different vendors. Why? Because if Cisco had a vulnerability, then all my hardware that's Cisco would be down as well. Okay? So we want to promote here, obviously, vendor diversity and platform diversity. This one, you have to have a lot of money. Your company has to have a lot of money to have what's called multi-cloud. Right? What this means is that here at ATG, all of our data is in Azure, right? And we're paying
$199 a month to have our data up in Azure. Now, for us to be completely redundant, I would want to also migrate all my data to another cloud platformer, Amazon. And I want to pay them $199 a month too. Because, yeah, AWS. Because if Azure goes down, at least my data's up in Amazon. If Amazon goes down, at least my data's in Azure. So this is for mega rich, big corporations, right? To have their data in two clouds. Yeah? Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, a lot of people are switching over. Military guys are switching over to OneDrive. So it's good. I think having your data in the cloud, that's a good disaster recovery plan because your business doesn't have to worry about having backups because they know Microsoft's always going to back your data up. It's always going to be there. Then you can access it anywhere, depending on your security, obviously, in your environment.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
Ricky. What did Ricky say?
Been working on it all weekend.
Yeah. Honeypot, HoneyNet, you agree? We've talked about this. Honey Files. We talked about the tokens. Right. Fake telemetry. I don't know about this. We didn't talk about this. Where we at in the book? We're getting through this chapter. I might be able to do a sim or two today.
Outstanding.
All right. I want to pause real quick because I'm flipping through the book.
Okay.
And there's some things that I see that I want to talk about. All right. I want to expand a little bit on cross-training 184.
Okay.
Right, they're talking about risk and making sure people on a risk. So the term cross-training means that if Ricky calls out from work and he's the only guy that's there for BA, I need to cross-train somebody else to fill in for him, especially if he calls in sick or something happens to him. But cross-training mitigates against me having to be reliant on one single person to do work in the company. All right. The other one I want to pause on is on 187, where they're talking about high availability, and you see all these nines on 187.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing I never knew in real life is that if a company says that they're up 99% of the time, that's what I'm looking at, 2 nines, so that's 99.0. That means you can be down for 87 hours in a year, and that other company still met their SLA.
Ain't that something? That's true. Yeah.
That's crazy,
It's
right?
crazy, right? Yeah.
That's insane.
87 hours.
Ricky's kind of looking at me like, what do you guys mean?
Service level agreement, yes.
So what I mean, Ricky, is that if I have internet service as a company with, say, Xfinity, and they guarantee 99% uptime, I could be down for 2 weeks. 40 hours a week, and they don't owe me any money, and they don't owe me any explanation.
That's right.
Because they've maintained their 99% uptime.
Yep.
So that's why companies pay for 6 nines, 7 nines, 8 nines. The more nines you pay for, the less downtime you have, but the more expensive it's going to be.
Right.
So I noticed they put that now in the book, and it looks like they really want us to know that. So there it is.
Okay.
And talk about hot site, cold site, warm site. Note in the book there is no time frame in the book. There's that word geographical dispersion. Dispersion I talked about yesterday in 188. Remember, that term, 188, geographic dispersion towards the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
that term I used yesterday when I said that I want my data to be stored in the cloud, but I want it to be stored in different geographic locations. Southeast, West Coast, Dubai, Europe, China, that's geographic dispersion. So if one region goes down, I don't have to worry about all my data going down because that region went down as well. Again, cloud is where we are going with disaster recovery nowadays. And I said one thing about disaster recovery is that we want to test it. So they talked about ways we can test it. They say test, load testing, failover testing, testing and monitoring system. Just test it. I don't want to wait till it happens and see if it works. They do have a nice little paragraph about virtual IP down there, so you guys can read it. You probably won't get or understand what they're talking about. I try to explain this in class. I know it, and I can explain it because it's a Cisco concept.
Yep.
But it's going to take us too much time. And it's only worth you knowing for an exam that it's used for redundancy. All right. Talk about active, this thing there, add generators, backup UPSs.
nothing there. Dual power supplies, nothing there. Diversity, we talked about diversity, software, platform, and vendor. So one's going to be hardware, equipment, Cisco, and the other one's going to be operating system. Platform is the OS. So I don't want to have everything with Mac iOS running or Windows running. Multi-cloud strategies, I just talked about that. I have some of my data in cloud, some of my data in Azure. And where are we getting at here? The honeypots, honeynuts. Deception, so that's on page 194. They talk about decoys. All right. Fake telemetry, there it is. Third bullet point on 194. Using port triggering or spoofing. Oh, okay, I know what they're talking about. To return fake telemetry data when a host detects port scanning activity. This results in multiple ports being falsely reported as open and slow down the scanning. Telemetry can refer to any type of measurement of data returned by remote scanning. Similarly, fake telemetry could be used to report IP addresses as up when they are not, for instance. All right, so what this is saying, now, I'm just curious. I've read from the book. I'm just being straight up honest. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Well, what about you, Henry? I'm just reading from the book. Did what the book say make sense to you?
It's fascinating to me. It makes sense that they're trying to spoof the data to make people assume the data they're getting is correct when it's actually not. But I haven't seen it in real practice.
Yeah, well, you got the gist of it, Henry. So that's what it's saying. So what they're saying is there's software in real practice. There's software called Nmap, right? And Nmap, I keep forgetting that this app is this one. So I need to do this. I need to pin this to start. And can I unpin that from start? Let me see if this works. Sorry, I'm fixing a technical issue. There we go. There's Nmap. This is it in practice, Henry.
Okay.
And Nmap is a software in which I can use to scan. You see that? Scan machines in my network. So I can actually type in a range of IP addresses. 192.
Yep.
It's not a vulnerability scan. It's a discovery scan. Nmap is a discovery scan. So what this is going to do is it's going to scan all machines in this network that start with the IP address 192.168.3.0. And if the machine's up, I'm going to get information down here about the machine.
Wow.
The machine's down, I won't get information about it.
Gotcha.
Fake telemetry is going to report back to the scanning software fake information about which machines are up and down.
Gotcha.
Because I don't want people to discover what machines are up or down in my network.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense now? Okay.
Yes. Is this a free software or could I download it?
Vulnerability scans look similar. Very similar. You're going to type in an IP address to scan the network for vulnerabilities. So it looks very similar. This tool is not going to be used to tell me what systems are up to date, though. It's going to just be used to discover what systems are in the network. It's a discovery tool.
Yeah. Is this a free software or proprietary?
It's free.
Okay.
You can download it right now.
Thank you.
Yep. He's a hacker. Right. He gets excited when I talk about hacking stuff. Yeah, I've found some really crazy stuff doing Nmap in military bases, and especially hotels, because hotels don't have the best security set up. So you can find all the people's phones that are logged in, the apps they have installed on their phones. It's crazy.
Wow.
You said what?
I said the internet is just wild.
Well, it's not the internet. Nmap can only be run inside of a specific network. I have to take my computer there and be on that network to run Nmap, to discover things about that network. I can't remotely use Nmap and say, I want to scan his network and be home. It's not going to work like that. Yeah, good question. Testing. So tabletop testing means that we're essentially going to do this. I'm going to print out instructions and give it to you, Henry, and say, you're responsible for getting our desktops back up. If this site blows up, here's a documentation on how to get the information back up.
Roger.
But a tabletop says that you're going to take that documentation, we're going to meet at tables like this, and we're going to role play. What would happen if this happened? Can you walk me through the steps?
Gotcha.
Tabletop.
Nice.
Okay. So failover test means that we're actually going to test it functionally. Sometimes they call it a functional test. Intentionally causing failure on the primary system component to evaluate if the secondary component is going to work. So that's why I was talking about the CIO would walk in and he would unplug the network and he'd test. We had a satellite dish on the roof and he'd test if it failed over. We also did something that's called simulation. Real world scenario. What we did is we actually went to a data center. That's like me coming in here and saying, all right, Henry, you read the documentation, we role played it. We're going to this data center, Henry, and there's a computer there, and I want you to show me that you can get it up and running as though it was the site in which you had to recover the data. Show me, functionally show me. That's what a simulation is. So we did that. We did it once a year, and it was an all-night affair. The whole team, all the IT guys would come in. We had the phone guys come in, the data guys come in, tape guys come in. I was a desktop guy. We get all the data back up at the data center, and then in the morning we called the end users in, and the end users would actually test the system to see if it was right, and they would give us. They were the worst. They say, "Nah, this isn't right. You didn't do your job. You forgot the back." They're users. They don't know that how much work went into trying to get that stuff back up. But we need to know. If it's not there, let us know. We'll do it better next year. That's what that lessons learned is.
Yeah, I've done that twice. In the last 8 years.
You done that?
Oh yeah, at AT&T. Where our two data centers were in Allentown, Pennsylvania, Watertown, Massachusetts, and Amsterdam, as well as Tokyo. So we had a global geo-redundancy network, and we'd have to fail over, cut one switch off to see if the route goes to the other switch at 1 o'clock in the morning to 6 a.m. and then come back and test it next day. So yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do I want to do here? Documents used for.
So where were your IDCs located? Internet data centers.
We had SunGuard here in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Is the one that we use for testing our simulation, and then our data center. We had a data center called QTS in downtown Atlanta.
Wow.
Failover test.
Hey Ricky, if you ever get a job in a data center, it's amazing. It's like football fields, long, cold.
Oh man, you can't see the end of the hallway, right?
It's cold. Yeah.
You can't see the end of the hallway. So I imagine it looking like a jail cell, like you walk into a jail because there's nothing but hallways and doors and locks and cages everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an enormous jail because I made a left, and I looked down the hallway. I couldn't see the end.
Mm-hmm.
I literally could not see the end of the hallway, and I had to walk at least halfway down to get to my data center.
Yep.
I'm plugging.
It's fun though. It's cold. It's beautiful.
ISP testing.
Yeah. It's a great job if you like being alone and don't mind working by yourself.
Exactly. If you don't want, if you're not a people person, you want to be by yourself.
Yep.
One of the guys that used to work here, he was that. That was his dream job. He wanted to work at a data center. He finally got it, but he took too much advantage of it and getting into people's business.
Oh.
But he got fired because he would go there and he wouldn't do anything.
Oh.
Because there's nobody babysitting you. All right, so if there's nothing to do, you just sit there and watch YouTube, Netflix all day. That's what he do here. He doing here. All right. So he went to the other job, thought he could get away with it.
No, you can't do that.
Like, we don't need you if we're going to pay you to come watch Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
At least walk around and see if there's cables that need to be cleaned up or something's powered off. You know, monitor. Be like a security guard. But I'm watching YouTube all day.
Man, that's messed up. And he's getting paid $100,000 to do that. Ain't that something?
He's getting paid a lot. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they paid us really well to do that, but man, I wouldn't do that. They'll catch you. They'll eventually catch you. They will catch you.
Mm-hmm. So Parallel is running two environments in tandem. Environments. So here just saying, hey, make sure you have documentation, and we're going to see physical security controls. Again, a lot of this chapter, gang, self-explanatory.
Yeah.
We know, we talked about on Monday, and you can see I'm just looking in the book, 199, it talked about fence, lights, bollards.
Yep.
And we talked about all that stuff. All that
Yes, you
stuff
did.
is physical control types.
Yeah.
Redundant information on 198, they talk about the AAA. Authenticate, authorize an account. So I need to do all three things to what? Gain physical access into the building. Right? Same thing when I go through the man trap. You got to authenticate, right? And they're going to give me authorization to be on the base from 8 to 5. And if they catch me on the base after that, I get in trouble and my sponsor gets in trouble.
Yeah.
So I make sure that I'm not on the base after certain hours. But I say I got to be there till 7 just in case class goes longer. I mentioned yesterday, and this is where it's in the book, we don't want to use a keyhole lock. So I want to replace it with a keypad lock, right? It's better suited for my environment. Do they have an accident? They don't have a picture of this yet. Still. Did they get a picture in the book? Probably not. That's where I have to show you guys a picture. What if I was at an event? Oh, a vet, I don't need a sponsor. A vet, I'm part of the military.
Oh yeah, because you vet guy.
I don't need it for a
No,
vet.
you already sponsored. You've been covered.
Vets
through
can, yeah, I've already served.
Background.
I don't need it. I don't need nothing, period, if I'm a vet.
Yeah.
I'm not part of the military at all, so I need a guest pass.
Yep.
Right? Meaning that vets still have their military ID,
Our card.
right? So they can go in there and they can shop at the EX store.
Yes, sir.
I can't. I got in trouble. No, I got in trouble. I tried to buy something one day, and the little Asian lady said, "Where's your card?" I said, "I don't have one."
Yep.
Took my clothes and gave me an angry stare. And I stared at her right back. I said, "I'll be right back." I went and got my boy. I went right back and bought the same stuff. Well, yeah, I can't do that stuff, but vets can all day long. I see old guys in there, and it's like they never left.
Exactly.
The benefit that they get.
I still go. Yep. Yes, sir.
You still got it?
Oh yes, yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to show you guys access control vegetable. Access control. I have it in my notes, by the way. I just don't feel like scrolling through my notes right now. I guess I could do Control F if I can't find the picture. Here's a picture here. So what happens is you walk inside of a door, and this is what you have in a data center, and you're presented with the ability to identify yourself in cameras, authenticate, or voice recognition. But you're essentially trapped.
That's right.
In between these two doors. So you can't leave, you can't go further in. That's what an access control vestibule is.
That's right.
Right? It's a way to guard physically me accessing environment. We're almost done. Yeah, this is all physical. Cameras are physical control types. Drones, physical. This is for reconnaissance. You fly your airplane drone over the enemy's base, and this can be used to determine where secure points of entry are and unsecure points of entry are. Motion, you got this at your house, right? For somebody breaks into your house, motion detection. Then you got alarms at your house. Speaking of alarms, you got motion detection, noise, proximity, duress. We talked about this in class, I believe. Don't get me wrong, but put your hand on your desk. That is a duress signal for banks. Or it's cloudy outside when it's really sunny outside. That's a key word for send help fast. So your duress signal is a way to notify somebody you need help without notifying the person that you call for help.
Outstanding.
Oh, yeah? Damn. That's crazy. That's scary.
What did he say?
Now if I go anywhere and see upside down military ID, I'm leaving.
Huh.
It's a major that was our sign of doing the rest. What's called upside down. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool. That's all I can say. Cool. That's awesome. Oh, I'm about to say, yeah. Does everyone know that? Because I could just see somebody doing that on accident. They get dressed fast and they're like, I didn't know, I forgot. All right. And then sensor types. Infrared, that's when you see cops, people running in at nighttime, and you can still see them running. Ultrasonic and microwave, these are things that we typically don't use as sensor types, but different ways that you can monitor an environment of things that might change in the environment. So microwave signals, which we can't see, obviously, but microwaves send that, radiation type signals, ultrasonic, and pressure gradient changing. Obviously, airplanes have that, but we might want to monitor that as a sensor based on, computer equipment. And we don't want it to be a certain, we don't want the environment to be at a certain pressure. So these are other sensors that we can use to monitor physically the environment where we have equipment or personnel and we want to maintain a good atmosphere.
Gotcha.
All right, let's review. All right, so we did good today. I want to talk about at least one sim before we leave today. And I want to be another day where we'll talk about sims tomorrow. So here I'm going to go into what I've given you guys on Monday.
Okay.
So you guys start looking at it. It's in the, actually I just go to my desktop here. So the folder that you copied to your desktop, it's a 601 sims.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna look at one today. But all of these you should start looking at because any of these could pop up on your exam. And we're gonna look at them, like I said, throughout the week. So which one do I want to look at today?
Okay.
Let's look at some that we talked about today.
Okay.
So this one says an attack occurred against the company. Instructions you have been tasked to follow. Identify the type of attack that occurred. It says by what? Clicking on the tablet. You with me, Ricky?
Yeah, I'm here. I got you.
So this is important. This is on the test.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are you looking at it on your screen?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, if you're looking on your screen, that's fine. I just want to make sure. I wasn't sure what you're looking at. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this attacker tablet, this little red icon.
Okay.
And then we're going to look at the code that's on the tablet. That's what it says. Identify the type of attack that's occurring on the tablet by clicking on the tablet and review the output.
Okay.
So based on what we look at, we need to click on an answer over here and select the type of attack. I think I have output not here, but it's in the questions. Once you guys are doing your questions, you'll see this question pop up.
Okay.
By the way, when you see these sims pop up, you might see one pop up tonight.
Okay.
You cannot, I repeat, you cannot interact with the sim. It's a picture.
Yeah, I tried.
So you're not going to be able to click on the tablet. You're not going to be click and drag. You can't do anything except look at it.
Right.
You can click show answer.
Yeah.
And it'll show it complete, but you can't interact with it.
Right.
So there's a picture of the output, and what it's going to show you on the question when you get to it in your homework is a username and a bunch of passwords that are hashed. That happens to be an SQL injection attack. So they were able to get to the access the database and output information from the database. SQL is a database.
Gotcha.
So you're going to click SQL injection. That's the type of attack.
Gotcha.
Now, let me tell you this. Please listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Do not, when you get to this question, click on SQL injection attack and click and drag these over and click next. Your exam will be revoked. You'll fail. You hear what I'm saying?
Explain again. What you would
Explain
not
again.
click and drag? Be precise.
Do not immediately click
Oh,
on
I
SQL
see. Don't
injection
do it
attack
immediately.
and click
Okay, you're
on the
saying-
answers immediately.
I got you. Don't do it immediately.
Why?
But I was thinking cheating. It's coming.
Yeah, because they think you're cheating. Exactly.
Right.
You take your time. You gotta pretend like you're doing it for the first time.
Yeah.
Ricky, you're with me? Okay. Please be with me, Ricky, because I don't want you failing. You have to click on the tablet. You have to spend like a minute and look at the code like you've never seen it before. You got what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm about to say is, you get it. It'll click eventually.
Got that note.
All right.
Do not take a minute. At least take 2 minutes.
On the actual exam.
Got you.
Alright. It's all right. I just want to make sure that
We don't want to
that
fail for
part
something
you
stupid
get.
like that.
Because if you answer willy-nilly and you finish the exam in 10 minutes,
They
yeah,
think
it's
you're
going to show
cheating.
you pass, but,
Yeah, but
I'll
you
say
gotta-
2 days later, it's going to say, sorry, we detected some anomalies there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to revoke your exam, sir.
I remember that.
So here also, what we need to do is click and drag into controls. So I know you probably can see this a little bit better on your screen, but we have a WAF. We talked about this today. Where am I clicking and dragging the WAF?
Yeah, why if we go to
So we have application, CRM, web, or database. Where am I clicking and dragging this WAF? What is this secure?
Supposed to secure the
So WAF stands for Web Application Firewall.
Should be the Web Access Firewall.
So
the web
that's
server.
the web server.
Web server.
That's the web server.
Web server.
What about URL filtering? Where do you typically associate URLs?
HTTP, that'd be the websites. Web.
Yep, web server.
Web server. Yeah.
Yep. Record level access control. Where do you think that goes?
Record level access control. Record database probably.
Close. So this stands for Customer Relational Management Database.
Ah.
So we want to control who has access to people's records. So we're going to click and drag record level access control here.
Application source code.
Application source code. So we got 2 left: input validation or code review.
Validation. Yeah, that's going to obviously be, if that wasn't bad, that's going to be a code review.
Code review. Good job. Input validation. What's up? Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at. Same
record
thing.
level access
You
control.
done missed everything, man. I've done the whole thing. Yeah.
Kept looking up here.
I didn't click and drag anything here.
I know.
Yeah. Yours looks just like mine does.
Oh, remember that. Okay, remember that. Got
It
you.
might
got
look
you.
better at
I
home.
got you, Sean.
Input validation is database.
That's
All
the
right.
yeah.
So the solutions over here.
Oh.
There's all the answers. So everything you missed, it's right here.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
But I'm glad that you did this without looking at the answers.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do one more.
Okay.
Are you colorblind? No. Okay.
Zoom in on that.
I can. I know it's. Yeah, I can see it from here. I can see it from here. I can see it. I know it looks difficult to see.
Mhm.
I admit that with the orange color, but that's the best I can do. It's better than nothing. Right? Yeah, it's hard to see. It is hard to see, but you have to really look at it close to be able to see it.
Okay, going out to
All
that.
right, last thing here. Here we're talking about different types of definitions of a virus, and I'm actually going to go just to show you that the questions look a little bit better. Ricky. So if I open up the VCE player, Ricky, here's a player. These stems are going to be like the first 3 questions. So I'm just going to go to the first question. It says take all questions. This is question. See, mine's on random. So I told you guys to turn random off because it went to 199. Let me turn on random. I don't know. I turned it off yesterday. It's weird.
You know what?
So I'm just going to do all 700. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I don't even have that option of turning random on or off when
What's
I
up?
go in there. Oh. Yeah, I don't even have the option of turning random on or off. I just go whatever it gives me. I don't even whatever it gives me.
Yeah,
I
you
can-
do.
It doesn't show
Yeah,
up
you
when
do. You're using the same one I'm using. What do
Yeah,
you
for
mean?
some reason when I press start, it doesn't give me a choice on the random. It just gives me the
you
begin.
You gotta go here to exam
Ah.
and options.
Oh, I didn't go there. I just went right to start. Okay.
I know. So here, we're not talking about this one yet, but see, this is where I'm talking about where you're gonna want to type things in. You can't.
Okay.
It's a picture.
Right.
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
San Francisco.
But this is stuff that we need to spend time on. This one we're going to talk about tomorrow too.
Okay.
But this is the one that we're going to talk about now. So
Okay.
you can see this a little bit better, right, than the Word document.
Yeah. Let's go.
All right. So all the questions, the sims are in the 715 questions.
Gotcha.
They're just spread out.
Good.
So what I did is I created a Word document and I copied the pictures to a Word document because I don't have time to go there and put all the sims in one central location.
Gotcha.
All right. So here, first 3 sims happen to be 1, 2, and 3 in the homework. All right. But the rest of them are spread out all over the place.
All 715.
So-
Gotcha.
They're there, they're spread out all over the place. Attacker sends multiple sync packets from multiple sources. I'm going to just verbally talk about this so we can get out of here. Okay, it's 4:30. All right. So multiple sync packets. The word sync means I'm sending multiple hello requests. Did we talk about three-way handshake yet in this
Not
class?
yet. We haven't taught a TLS yet.
Not yet? Okay.
No.
All right, so we'll talk about it tomorrow. So sync packet is a hello. So an attacker is sending hello, hello, hellos. I thought we talked about sync flood attack in this class.
Not to, no, I don't have that in my notes. Do you have that, Ricky?
Hold on. I'm gonna show you a picture, And I want you guys to tell me if you saw this picture in this class.
Okay.
Because, again, I could have showed it in a
I've
different
studied
class.
in other classes, so that's why. Yeah,
If you saw it in this class, let me know. If not, that means we did not talk about it yet. This was the picture here.
Not yet. I didn't see it. Have you seen it, Ricky? Did you see it?
Oh, you got it? Really? Okay. So I literally taught this last week. All right. So I thought I taught it to you guys yet, right? But I guess not. We will talk about this when it gets to the book, but this is what's going on here, right? So he's sending multiple hello packets, and I have to reply to each of these sources. That's called a botnet. When it comes from multiple machines, a bot's one machine, a botnet's multiple machines. This is a DDoS attack, so we enable DDoS protection.
Yeah.
Right.
DDoS.
Attacker establishes a connection which allows remote commands to be executed. So if I remotely access your machine, that's called a RAT, remote access Trojan. To mitigate against this, we're going to disable remote access services. Right? This is the only one here that's actually marked incorrect
Ooh.
in the SIM. So when you click show answer, you're going to see that this was selected as implement host-based intrusion prevention system. That's wrong. We changed that answer.
Ooh.
I just didn't change it here because it's a picture. It's a JPEG.
Okay. Gotcha.
An attacker is self-propagating. I can actually stop there because we talk about in the book a hack that propagates is considered to be a worm. A worm is something that propagates. It moves from machine to machine to machine to machine. Just like a ringworm or a worm that gets in dogs, it replicates. Speaking of dogs, I need to get home soon. Take my dogs out. So I got to go at 4:30. But a worm is the type of attack. It says that it was used to compromise databases of well-known credentials. So how can we mitigate this worm from compromising a database of well-known credentials? We change the password of the application. But look, there's two passwords. You can change the default system password or the application. SQL, that's an application. Attacker uses hardware to remotely monitor what I type in. That's what a keylogger is. Keylogger. How can I mitigate against keylogging? That's why we don't use vulnerable services. Bluetooth is a vulnerable service. Disable vulnerable services. An attacker embeds hidden access. That's what a backdoor is. Backdoor allows hidden access to bypass account login. That's what a backdoor is. So how can we force that developer to log in securely? Enable two-factor with push notification. So again, this is question 3. You click show answer. You see all the answers marked in red, right? The only one that I said that I changed is this one. Establish a connection which allows remote commands to be executed. It's a RAT, remote access Trojan, but I'm disabling remote access. Not this one. I think this answer is better than this one. All right, so we did 2 sims today, but we have probably 6 or 7 sims to go over. Those are the shorter of the 6. All right, see ya mañana.
All right. Thank you so much.
Do your homework.
Doing it now.
You have the next 100 to do.
Roger that.
You have any questions before I let you go, Henry?
I'm
you
good to
here
go.
tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay, I'll catch you tomorrow, man.
All right. Thank you. All right. All right. You heard what he said to stop that.